It's Throwback Week at the Rock. Welcome in to the Blazing Pedals ARCA Racing League here live on Green Flag TV. Boy, look at the black and white photos and the throwback style broadcast. And welcome in, one. My name is Derrick Watson, sitting next to Emmett Crow. So welcome back into another exciting week for the Blazing Pedals ARCA League. Well, Emmett, in a way, what a just very apropos track to pick for the Throwback Week. A track that really is trying to make a resurgence, but really speaks to the history of NASCAR, to some legacy racing, some exciting racing at a track that is just mired in history.
Yeah, definitely awesome to see. We're going to get some great racing. And it's cool to see these throwback schemes coming out. And I've loved the black and white filter. It really adds the nostalgic look to it. So I'm ready for a great race tonight. Derrick.
Yeah, great race it's going to be, and very exciting race. Now we're going to get that Wizard of Oz. We're going from black and white to color. Look at that. Here we are, June 1st, Rockingham. We got another week next week of racing at Lucas Oil. I believe it's the Indianapolis Raceway Park version of Lucas Oil. And then we are off again for Father's Week. And then a couple more weeks, Sonoma and Old Atlanta on the schedule. So look at this, Emmett. Very different tracks. You got a 1 mile track. You got a short track. You got a road course. You got a 1.5 miles. 4 separate tracks in 4 separate weeks.
Yeah, definitely different. And a really variety of tracks that could play into this championship. I mean, look at that. Chicagoland. When's the last time we went to Chicagoland? I mean, and then Old Atlanta. Of course, our good buddy, Mr. Nolan Rempel, and me had a really good classic race at Old Atlanta. So looking forward to see what these cars do over there.
Yeah, very exciting times. Let's take a look at the points and see how that's shaping out. The points race got closer after our last race. Look at this. 9 points. So Justin Levine, Dalton Kilroy, 9 points off. Taylor Butcher Benjamin won a couple weeks ago. He's now down to 29 points back. And Mark Arthur, Brian Dees, your top 5. Perkins, Zimmerman, Carroll, Gibson, and Harmon. So let's explain this what happened last time. The Blazing Pedals League has a provision system where if you know you're going to be gone, if you know you're not going to race, you can claim that provisional and you can receive points in that race. Dalton Kilroy knew he would be gone. He was off at a music festival all weekend. He claimed his provisional. Justin Levine missed the race by accident, did not claim the provisional. So that points gap is now down to 9 points. But Emmett, on top of that excitement, let's go and take a look at the team points. This is much different here. Remember, there's a different format here. Your average of your best and your worst finisher. The team with the best average gets a point. Last week, 2 dudes racing, or 2 weeks ago, 2 dudes racing again had it, and now they're at 4 points.
Yeah, and then we also look at Pit Lizard right up there, coming only 2 points back, and then in a tie actually for second between One Sim Motorsports. But look at 3-way battle for fourth with Blackhawk Motorsports, MFRD Racing, and Five Kings Motorsports for sure.
So with a long season to go, anyone can still claim those points. We'll wait and see how this plays out. This could literally come down to the last race. Well, for qualifying, we're going to keep up with this black and white filter, and we're going to watch around the track as the number 64 car gets around the track. This is Austin Derbyshire in one of those old classic throwback, the Tabasco scheme. We'll talk about these as the night goes on, and I believe his laps are done. He is going to be P18 on the board. And right now, Cody Gibson leads us around in qualifying, and Emmett with about, it's 5, almost 6 minutes to go. Still plenty of cars left to put out a time here.
Yeah, definitely still a lot of time to go. You know, it's going to be interesting to see how quick these cars can get this going and stuff. And I'm really looking forward to seeing who can get this pole.
Be exciting to see here and to see if anyone's going to come off on track. A few drivers left: Ty Marasco, Derek Paulson, Brian Dees, Mike Massengill, Fred Thompson, and Brad Lawson. Brad Lawson actually did qualify. Both his laps, he snagged the wall, Emmett. So his times are done. He will not be able to put in a qualifying time, but the others are trying their best, and we'll see if they'll get out here and put on a show. Here's that Hooters car. This is, of course, a car with a lot of history in NASCAR. You know, multiple drivers, current modern day Chase Elliott paint scheme, but of course, many drivers before then rode in this Hooters car, and that's Ty Marasco getting ready to pull off pit road.
Yeah, it's definitely it's a really cool looking Hooter scheme. Cool to see the throwback. You know, it looks kind of like Chase Elliott's, but then it also kind of looks like Alan Kawicki's a little bit, Derek. All right. All right, so now let's see Ty Marasco making his run. I like the brick on the bottom. Gives it that kind of like a brickyard feel, but great looking scheme. So we ride on board with Ty Marasco, just showing you how this track is and see how progressive this banking is. And these straightaways, they're flat. But once you go into, as you come down the Thunder Alley backstretch and you go right here into turn number 3, you want to get it right up next to the wall. And that's where the most speed comes off. And then right here, you're just going to roll it, try to get it right in the middle. So you're just really trying to diamond the corner as he's going to set his first lap with a 24:37. That's going to make him 16th quickest. Woo-wee! Second lap gets a little loose, but here he comes, almost spun her out. But great job keeping that car up. Oh, keep on it, boy. Oh, man. Oh. Hard contact.
Well, unfortunately, that will wipe out that car for Ty Marasco and wipe out that qualifying time. So we'll see only like one lap in for him. Here's Brian Dees in that old Darrell Waltrip Tide ride. Of course, is a very famous car. Rode around Darlington a few times in Darrell Waltrip's time. Or rode around Rockingham, sorry. I said Darlington. Rode around Rockingham a few times in Darrell Waltrip's career.
Yeah, definitely just a couple times, you know. It's not like he won the Daytona 500 with it or anything.
Well, here comes Dees now. Going to ride that bottom line and, of course, up to the wall. Now, this is a very bumpy track, Emmett. Now, remember, this skin and iRacing is a little bit older than what you may have seen the drivers in the NASCAR Truck Series and Xfinity Series race a few weeks ago. This track is bumpy. This track is treacherous. It's going to be a wild, bumpy night here for these drivers.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a wild, bumpy night. And just like we were seeing how progressive this banking is, and that adds an extra flair to it as we see it looks like Brian Dees qualifying time's going to be done. But Derek, can anyone knock off Cody Gibson?
No, that's not the question, right? And as I take a look at our time and scoring, I'm not sure how many people left. Derek Paulson, Mike Masniel, Fred Thompson, I think are a couple of the last few drivers to have that opportunity. So we'll see if they want to come out. Of course, they may want to wait till the last minute. Some drivers believe there's an advantage to waiting. Maybe the weather comes a little bit more live. Maybe the sun comes out or sun goes down or whatever you prefer. But look at it here, 121 degrees track temp. I don't know, maybe you could fry an egg on that, Emmett.
Yeah, definitely. You know, growing up here in the South, we've been known to fry a couple. We haven't fried any eggs, but we did. Let's see. I think I saw somebody do some cookies in their car, or you know, cooked a pizza also in their car. So yeah, it definitely gets real hot here in the South.
There you go. Well, I see Derek Paulson is lined up at the pit road, that number 6 car. He may be one of our last competitors. He's waiting to the very last second to pull off here. And we'll see. He's only got about a minute and a half. And then these are, roughly 23-second lap times. He's got to get moving here almost any second now. He's trying to maximize that time left and get the exact perfect weather he wants. But 23 seconds apiece means about a minute and 12 seconds to get both laps in. I don't think he's going to get... he's sitting there for a while. He's definitely not going to get both laps in. Maybe he'll get one lap in.
Yeah, maybe he's just wanting to be a one lap wonder, you know. And I mean, it only takes one lap to knock Cody Gibson off the pole, so it'll be interesting to see if Derek Paulson can do that for sure. I love that scheme, by the way.
Yeah, maybe he's just faking us out and not going to move.
Maybe he went to the fridge and grabbed something to drink or something.
Yeah, maybe so. Well, 45 seconds on the clock here at Rockingham. Of course, this is a very infamous track. You know, NASCAR Next Gen Racing stopped here in the early to mid 2000s. Couple times it's made a bit of a resurgence. In fact, this is now a track that, weirdly enough, Emmett, we'll talk about more as the night goes on. But let's do this first. Let's take a look at tonight's starting as we go back into color, like Dorothy stepping out of the house in The Wizard of Oz. Here we go. Cody Gibson's up on the pole with Chris Carroll back in P2. Less than a tenth of a second off. Back in P3 is William Bruton in that classic Kyle Petty NWO scheme. He's got Mark Arthur next to him in P4 in that old Miller Genuine Draft Machine. P5 is Dalton Kilrow, part of Team MFRD in that Monster Energy machine with Rick Thompson on the outside in P6. P7 is going to be Taylor Butcher Benjamin, the driver who won 2 weeks ago, next to Brian Zimmerman in an old Havoline machine. P9 is Hunter Lagoons, and he is next to Justin Levine in an old Taco Bell throwback machine.
Yeah, and in P11, we're going to find John Perkins rocking the old mellow yellow Kyle Petty throwback, or Cole Trickle, lining up next to Trevor Harmon in the 29 WCW throwback machine. And then 13th, we're going to find the 18. I like that scheme. That's really got looks like the Interstate Batteries throwback lined up next to Larry Bale in 14th in the 43. Further back, we find James Efaw in the 88 machine in 15th, and we find Brian Dees in that Tide throwback in P16. In P17, we find the Hooters of number 1 machine of Ty Marasco lined up next to Nicholas Moody in the 60 machine. And then in P19, we're going to find Joey Neese rocking the old Rusty Wallace Kodiak throwback, lining up next to Austin Derbyshire in P20 with the Tabasco throwback. And rounding out the field is going to be the 50 of Jess Hadley in 21st.
Yeah, it'd be all the drivers that took a time. A couple last drivers on the grid who did not take a time, did not get one in. Brad Lawson's back in the Scooby-Doo Mystery Machine. You'll see that as the night goes on. Derrick Paulson, who did not take a time. Fred Thompson, and then Mike Massingill. And that will round out your 25 car. That's a look top to bottom at tonight's Blazing Pedal starting grid. Well, Emmett, here we go. We're going to get a couple pace laps in here. So to you, in your mind, as a driver, what's the key to victory at Rockingham?
Well, the key is just find the fast line. You know, it's all about how that high line is going to come into play. I think early on the bottom's going to be the line of choice, but as the night goes on, the day goes on, excuse me, it's going to be the high line for sure. It's going to come into play, so that'll be interesting. I really like Mark Arthur's Bobby Allison throwback. That's pretty sweet to see again.
And I think the other thing to focus on, you're right, as the day goes on, that's an important point because it's 12:45 p.m. virtual sun time as the green flag comes out. We are green flag racing at Rockingham. But that didn't take long. Wrecking in the back of the field. No caution yet. And it's going to be Derrick Paulson back there in the 6. A couple other cars. But I think we're going to stay green, weirdly enough. So lap 1, a little bit of calamity. Up front, though, all is good. We are racing side by side. See Levine in that Taco Bell car trying to make a move as we've completed our first lap at Rockingham.
Yeah, and man, I hate to see that 20 machine of... couldn't see who the 20 car was, but that is such an awesome throwback to Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s 2001 Pepsi 400 Major League All-Star game throwback. Great looking scheme for sure.
Yeah, great looking scheme. So it's always fun when you see a league embrace these throwback weeks and, you know, really gets into the spirit, kind of shows off maybe something a driver they had as a kid who was a favorite, whether it talks about, you know, a painting that means something to them. But let's take a look here. This is the old Budweiser machine, the old number 8. Watch this move. Oh boy, just maybe didn't get the memo about the checking up cars in front of him. Oh, yeah. Whoa, hold on. There's another car.
Gosh,
that's Kyle Petty machine. And that was Justin Levine who made contact with him. That was Brian Dees, I believe. Sorry, that was not Brian Dees. That was William Bruton, who was in the NWO machine. And wow. Oh, wow. Well, here we are. We're on, 4 laps in and 2 wrecks in at Rockingham.
Well, I'll tell you this, since it's a Kyle Petty throwback, I got to say it. That's incredible.
There was. Well, I think the other important to note, we said 4 laps, 2 wrecks. The other important number, 0 cautions. That's what we have so far somehow on this racetrack. So we're cruising on along. Now we're going to pay lap 5 of 240. So keep that number in mind. And the field seems confused by the lack of yellow, but right now who's not confused is Cody Gibson. Look at that lead. It's almost 3/4 of a second here on lap 6.
Yeah, and Cody Gibson looking hot as good old hot Cheetos, looking hot on the track and fiery out there. He is blazing.
Well, keep in mind, an important number to know, lap 48, end of lap 48 is our first stage tonight. That's when the caution will fly for the stage break, and everyone will come down, probably get tires, fuel, whatever they need, unless something happens before that moment. But here on track, we're going to keep battling and have some great side-by-side battles here and there. And of course, right now you see this in a line. So when we think back to Rockingham, and of course, we don't really think about multi-groove racing. There's probably a preferred line, so it may be harder to pass here tonight, right?
Yeah, it may be harder to pass early on, but as the day goes on and the more tire and the more rubber is put down on this track, we may get some multi-groove racing, but you never know about the rock for sure.
Looking on back from Chris Carroll and seeing from the P2, P3, even a P4 battle on back as Carroll, you see him, he gets off the throttle, through in the corner, gets back on the straightaway, gets up to about 165 or so, maybe up to 170, and back down to about 130, 135 for the corners.
Tell you, it looks like we might have a mystery to solve, and looks like the meddling kids and their dog is in that mystery machine flying around this track as well.
Yeah. We'll see how that plays off and what happens. Let's go ahead and take a look now at different cars around the track. This is that 43, that very traditional red and blue scheme that we see every week here.
The Canadian.
Yep, I see different cars around here now. Looking at a great battle here. This is the 58 up front. Now looking around to that 33. You call it the old Cole Trickle car. I like that reference. Fighting out with Justin Levine, fighting off with the others here on the track. That's Brian Dees in the 17, Justin Levine, John Perkins in the 33. So a nice three-car battle.
Yeah, Justin Levine throwing it back to Martin Truex Jr. and Dale Earnhardt Jr. when they used to run the old Taco Bell Busch Series cars for Chance 2 Motorsports. So great to see those cars on track for sure.
Indeed it is. Now we're going to go back to the battle for P2. This is Mark Arthur and that Miller Genuine Draft Machine. This is Chris Carroll back in P3. That is Rick Thompson back in P4. We're right on board with Thompson now. And again, as you watch these laps in it, it's very easy to see. It's down to the yellow line and then back up against the wall. But boy, Thompson almost touched the line there, and you see that car react pretty poorly because of it.
Yeah, definitely, and that's what happens if you get that car just a little bit past that yellow line. It's no man's land out there, Derrick, and it's so slick. And as we saw in qualifying, I believe was it Brian Dees we were watching? And he got a little loose and got a little swirly and spun out and hit the wall, but it might not have been Dees. I can't remember who it was.
Yeah, I believe it was Dees. You're right that we saw the wall hit and such at the very end of the run there. By the way, that car that went on by the top, that's Jess Headley in the 50. That's going back through the field. Headley got some new sim racing equipment this week, so I'm not sure, maybe just kind of getting used to the new settings, the new feelings.
Oh, man.
Oh, boy. Went really loose off a 2 and almost got used to hitting a wall. Now down below the line and having a hard time is Jess Headley.
Yeah, and rocking the Hey Arnold scheme that they always do.
Is that cartoon still on? Is that a throwback? I've never seen Hey Arnold.
It's a 90s throwback. Unfortunately, it is not on anymore.
Fair enough.
You have to go check it out for sure. It's a classic.
I know. If we keep a pretty busy Green Flag TV schedule, we'll see if I can find time to fit in a cartoon, but we'll see what we can do here. This is still that three-way battle. This is Levine, this is Dees, and this is Perkins. And you see just lap by lap, they're kind of trading spots. But for right now, Levine has found his way to the front, and he is controlling this three-car pack.
Yeah, Levine showing some great speed in that Taco Bell machine. I bet you he's running on bean burritos and all that gas in there, and he's really picking up the speed and able to get around the 33 and 17 of Brian Dees and John Perkins for sure.
Of course, we talked about at the beginning of the show, Levine missed last week's race, did not submit the provisional. So Levine gave up a bunch of points last week. Now, the good news for Levine right now is he's only one spot behind Kilroe. Kilroe's just ahead of this battle. So Levine, for right now, would at least come out of this race with a less of a lead, but still a lead. If the race ended right now, of course, that won't happen. But we'll see how this night goes on here as we move around at Rockingham. Now working lap number 19. Almost 20. We're almost about 10% done with this race. And there's another car loose. Wow. Ooh, buddy, that's that old WCW machine. Talked about that. It's kind of weird to think about in this throwback week. We got 2 wrestling cars, and boy, that 29 car was like wrestling a gorilla to get that car to stay on the track.
Yeah, and since you said wrestling a gorilla, I got to ask you, Derek, since the question's going around social media, who would win out of 100 men and 1 gorilla?
Sorry, repeat that. Who would win what?
Who would win between 100 men and 1 gorilla?
Is this really a question we're asking? Well, right now, that 1 man won in this battle because he held onto that car. 100 men or 1 gorilla? I'm going to go with 100 men. I think 100 men at once could take a gorilla, but that's a weird question.
Yeah, that's the pop culture for you now. But as we see right here, the 21 machine getting under the 29 car. So, the 27 of Hunter Lagoons getting under the 29 of Trevor Harmon and taking that position as we got pit stops happening, Derek.
Yeah, here's the Canadian Austin Derbyshire coming down pit road in that old Tabasco paint scheme. And this is unscheduled. This is not that far in. So let's wait and see what happens to Derbyshire. If it's just, there's no indication of tires. Maybe there's some damage that needs fixing that car from a wall hit. But that's a very early pit stop here on lap 23.
Yeah, definitely it is for sure. And as we see Cody Gibson just continuing to lead, but Mark Gibson is coming and he's got the fastest lap of the race and he's really picked up a lot since he got past Chris Carroll, and now he's really got his eyes set on that number 7 machine of Cody Gibson.
Yeah, machine is just really flying on by, still maintaining about 3/4 of a second. It's gotten a little bit bigger, but not much. If you now look back on the field, this is Dalton Kilroe right here in that monster machine. He has made a pass on Taylor, Butcher, Benjamin. Those 2 are teammates, so they're probably both having a good time talking. Make sure they coordinate that pass to not give it too much time. But now Derrick Paulson slides down pit road in the box. Is that going to count? No, he's done. He just went ahead and towed that car.
Wow.
That's curious to me that you just didn't back it up.
Yeah, that is very curious. So take a look right here.
Now, Emmett, in these ARCA machines, remember, in this league, the fuel tanks are limited to 75% gas of a normal run. I'm still confused by the call right here by both Paulson and Derbyshire. These cannot be scheduled stops. It's just we're not out of gas. I'm perplexed.
Yeah, I'm flabbergasted as well, Derek. I'm like, it's got me confused. I'm like you. I mean, 75% fuel, you'd think they'd have enough to get to the end of at least stage 1, but they must have some problems, or they must be making some stuff, trying to find something to gain some track position and get up here and battle for this.
Well, I think we can answer at least one. I just noticed Austin Derbyshire has disconnected. So has Derrick Paulson. So those are not scheduled stops. That means both of them have went ahead and bowed out of the race. So our final 2 spots have been decided. It will be, I believe, Derbyshire finishing last, Paulson finishing right above him. And then we'll keep this battle going. But here is a battle on track. This is for the lead. This is Chris Carroll. Gets up in front of Gibson, makes the pass. Gibson now is going to try to undercut him. Get it down here back into turn 1. And he will get the pass both side by side. I thought Gibson was going to pass him, but no. Carroll did a great job. We're going to get him down here through the back straight. And I believe Carroll's now going to take the lead. And he was trying to lead his second lap.
Yeah, he's going to take the lead away. And now we see Mark Arthur. He's going to try to use that bottom and just try to get past Cody Gibson. But, yeah, what about Chris Carroll? Chris Carroll was running 3rd at the time. And it looked like it was going to be between Arthur and Gibson. And Carroll said, not so fast. This pit lizard motor racing machine is really fast, and we're going to get up here and take this lead away from both of them.
Look at this now. Gibson must have burned off some tires or having a hard time. He's now up at the top of the track again. Mark Arthur's now going to make a move on the bottom. Mark is going to try to use that old Miller Genuine Draft. I've seen that paint scheme used a few times across NASCAR for different drivers. And boy, Gibson is wall riding at Rockingham. Not a phrase I use very often.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Gibson just trying to find some grip, but there's nothing up there, and that's why he's getting a little loose up on the wall. But yeah, Mark Arthur, you know, we think when you see that scheme, I ultimately think about when Bobby Allison won the Daytona 500 and Davey Allison finished second.
One of the great memories of that paint scheme for sure is that moment. Now going back to the field, this is Justin Levine. He's now fighting with Ty Marasco. This is the 5 versus the 1, the battle for P8. Going back up front, no. This is Mark Arthur. He's now made the pass at Chris Carroll. Now look at that. It's Rick Thompson trying to put some pressure on the Gibson.
Yeah.
Do a great job here.
I wonder if Thompson I wonder if he called the mob in on it, because here he comes right here. And he's really getting through the field really good as he comes up on Cody Gibson as they're moving through lap traffic of the 58 machine of Joey Neese.
Boy, look at that. Gibson did a great job of getting around that lapped car and trying his best to navigate the traffic here. Ooh, some scary moments as we're getting lap traffic. Oh, look at that. Gibson got tight. And look at that. The car behind him, which is Brian Zimmerman, had to back up a little bit. And now Zimmerman's loose through the front straight.
Yeah, and Zimmerman rocking the Davey Allison 28 throwback. So that's an awesome looking Texaco car for sure.
Yeah, that's a great car. Texaco, as we said, many sponsors remind you of different drivers. Ricky Rudd comes to mind. Lucas Haveline in Texaco, I think, come to mind for different drivers. But yeah.
Jamie McMurray, Casey Mears, Juan Pablo, Juan Montoya.
So, again, I would say, Emmett, one of the fun things about sim racing is that as drivers, you get an opportunity to use your car to represent different things, whether it be, oh, hold on, we're 3 wide. This is Levine on the outside. That is Marasco on the inside and a car in the middle. Boy, oh boy, that's Butcher Benjamin who just went back to the field. I was going to say, again, the benefit of sim racing as drivers, you get a chance to use your vehicle as basically a moving billboard, whether it be for something you liked as a kid, your favorite driver, a cause you care about, your favorite color. It's not something every esport really gives you that chance to do.
Yeah, it's really cool. Oh, somebody hit the wall back there. I believe that was the Moody machine. The 60, is that the 69 machine? 60s machine of Nicholas Moody. But yeah, just like you were saying, Derek, it's really cool. And how about trading paints where you can, if you want to, what you think that a car would look like on track, you could go make the car and you could bring it to the sim and see how that car looks on track. It's definitely really neat to see for sure. We've definitely upgraded from the paint booth from the old NASCAR console games for sure.
I would agree with that. You can see, by the way, Moody, you can tell that car must have a broken toe link or some problems. You saw that car hit the outside wall a few times going down the back straight, but he got it down the pit road, and so he is getting that service. See that timer on the right side of your screen. Here's another battle. This is Dalton Kilroe now. He's trying to get around here. This is the driver in P7. He's trying to get around Ty Marasco, who just passed him, and they've got a car to the inside. Boy, oh boy. Is that Justin Levine I think I saw? It is.
Yeah, Justin Levine as we see Kilroe get up into the wall. But look at that scheme. I like the play on their using their team name, but using the logo as well and getting that font. I mean, that looks awesome right there.
It's almost odd to think that Monster is a throwback scheme, but of course, we're probably about 10 years removed from the announcement of the Monster Energy Cup Series, so you can definitely use that as a throwback in some ways. But you're right, a great job to use that M for MFRD, and we'll watch that as the night goes on. Here's the 76 now. He's going to try to get a move on the bottom and pass that car. That 28 is who he's trying to get around.
Yeah, the 28.
No luck so far.
So the 28, there must be, it looks like in 3 and 4, the high line's coming into play a little bit. But once you get to 1 and 2, that's where these guys are getting up in the marbles, and we're seeing a lot of guys hit the wall and get loose for sure.
And that's one of the things about being a single groove track, right? Is it means that there's not exactly a second racing line, or if there is going to be one, these guys are going to have to work it in. So, by the way, keep in mind, we're only about 5 laps away from the end of the first stage. Lap 40 of this race is cruising right along, Emmett.
Yeah, it's definitely cruising by, and some great battles going on as Chris Carroll continued to lead. He's got, what, a 1.16 second lead on Mark Arthur, but yeah, Mark has the fastest lap of the race, so it'll be interesting to see if he can catch him for sure.
Yeah, I think Carroll must be feeling good about that first stage win. Here's the battle for second, third, and fourth. This is Arthur Zimmerman and Rick Thompson, and you're going to bring in the 5th place car. That's Cody Gibson. Well, that's not Cody Gibson behind them. That's a lapped car, sorry. And then there's Gibson on back in that Cheetos machine. So these guys are fighting hard. Now another battle on tracks. Even though everyone's not battling for the caution on the bottom, wrecking big. No caution again for the 3rd time. That's Ty Marasco down there in the 1 car.
Yeah, Carrasco just, I mean, we'll have to take a look because he got with Jess Headley and
and he's loose again.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, hold on. First live on the bottom is Marasco loose again.
Oh my gosh, he came back on the track.
Yeah. There's got to be, I guess, admin only cautions in this race, and the admins are being very very liberal with those cautions.
That would
maybe conservative. Yeah, I might have got the word wrong there, but watch this. Here's Headley up in the wall. Now let's watch this replay top of your screen. There's Headley in the wall, bounces off, barely clips Marasco, and a big wreck in the bottom of the track.
Yeah, and tough break for Marasco. I mean, he was running good. What was he running? P6 at the time, and then just got caught up with the lap machine of Jess Hadley in the 50 machine.
Headley, of course, already had some problems earlier in the night, so unfortunately for them. But here we are, lap 47, only a couple of laps to go, and Mike Massengill, end-of-line penalty. How do you get an end-of-line penalty under green flag? I don't quite understand. We'll come back to that later. There's the close call you saw from the camera shot. Lap 48 is beginning. This is the lap. End of this lap, the stage break will occur. So right now, it's Chris Carroll being run, well, Mark Arthur wants to run him down, but just cannot quite get there, right? Over a second in time. So Chris Carroll will come around, turns at 3 and 4 for one final time in stage 1, and will come off your stage 1 victor here at Rockingham.
Yeah, Chris Carroll. Let's see if they throw the caution. There it is.
Now the button does work. All right, well, here we are into stage 1. So let's go through your top 10. It's Carroll, Arthur, Zimmerman, Thompson, Gibson, Lagoons, Levine, Kilrow, Perkins, and Taylor Butcher Benjamin, your top 10.
Yeah, then we got Larry Bell in 11th, Brian Deese 12th, Trevor Harmon in 13th, Jay Powell in 14th, James Efaw in 15th, 16th, Brad Lawson. And rounding out the field will be, hold on a second, let it switch, will be Joey Neese, Fred Thompson, the 60 machine of Nicholas Moody, and then we get Ty Marasco, and then we get Jess Hadley, Mike Massengill, William Burton, and 2 cars out, and that's going to be Derrick Paulson.
Derbyshire and Paulson,
Yep, in Derbyshire.
All right, well, here we are down pit road. Not a surprise. First time the caution's been out. A moment to see everyone come down. Those cars that stayed out, those are lap cars. They'll pit next time by. But Chris Carroll leads them down pit road. Carroll, Arthur, Zimmerman, and more. Suspect everyone 4 tires and gas. Let's wait and see who wins the race off of pit road. Here we go. Carroll takes that long drive down, gets into second to last box. Kipson gets up ahead. You see Kilrow pitting and others. So here we go. Right side's up for us. Yep, we can see right side's up. You get the gas in the car. You see everyone's going. Oh, there's Chris Carroll.
Chris Carroll, no tires, gas only. Wow.
That's
bold.
Interesting. Yeah, bold's a good word. I like bold. Well, tell you what, let's not waste any time here. Let's just ask Chris Carroll about it. Let's talk to the 5 Kings Motorsports. But first, before we do that, let's go and thank tonight's sponsor of this race, the Ohio and Indiana Roofing Company. They are a premier roofing contractor. They are a sister company to the Bruns Corporation Enterprise, and they specialize in commercial and industrial roofing and are committed to accommodating the unique needs of each client and offering creative solutions to those who meet needs. They are a team of individuals who work for the same common goals: professionalism, quality, and service. The services they offer include preventative maintenance, re-roofing and new construction, infrared scanners, green roof solutions, metal retrofit, emergency repair services, and more. Please visit www.oiroofing.com for more information. Again, thank you to the Ohio and Indiana Roofing Commercial Industrial Roofing Company for sponsoring tonight's race. Well, that didn't take long, Emmett. Here we are, already back 1 to go, double filed on the start. A little bit of checkup on the outside lane. What's going on up there? Hello, Mark Arthur.
I think he just missed a shift.
All right. Well, the pace car for only the second time tonight is going to make that left-hand turn out of turn number 4. And this time by, the field will be in the hands of Chris Carroll. Pace car is down, and green flag is back out at Rockingham. Overall, a pretty clean start in this second stage, Emmett. You see right now, the difference is Brian Zimmerman has taken the lead, got around Chris Carroll. So now it's Zimmerman, Carroll, and Gibson, your top 3.
Yeah, and the interesting thing, Derek, how he got around Chris Carroll was on the high side. And we see Cody Gibson. He took advantage of that. He saw Bert Zimmerman rocket to the front on that high side and goes to the high side and gets around Chris Carroll. Now it looks like Carroll's a sitting duck with him taking no tires. As here comes also Kilrow and John Perkins also passing Carroll right now too.
Yep, Perkins going to come on around. It's going to keep like a big choo-choo train. Chris Carroll's going to keep falling victim. Rick Thompson, Brian Dees, and more. So what this car is hoping for, Carroll's hoping for is there's more cautions later where he gets to kind of offset this call with those tires. We'll see how that goes on, but first, let's do this. Let's catch up with the driver who's involved in the incident back in the first stage. Let's catch up with the driver number 1 machine, Ty Marasco. Maybe not the first stage you wanted.
No, not at all. Honestly, avoidable. Not on my level, I don't think, but I don't know what we're doing out there. But fast car, I felt like on a long run right there, got from 17th to 6th, and then that stuff happens, and it's been the least fun I've had all in the 10 seasons I've been here. I've been here since the beginning, and it's the least fun I've had on. And just over it, just done with it. Just stupid stuff, and the car can be tossed in the garbage as well. I'm over it too. So.
Well, speaking of cars, let me ask you. Obviously it's Throwback Week here at the Rock, and Emmett and I were kind of talking about your paint scheme, the Hooter scheme, and we called out, Alan Quickie. We called off, of course, Chase Elliott, not really a throwback, but I noticed in the notes that you put in it, this is for you. It's a Rick Mast car. Does that spark a memory? This is like maybe the first person you saw race it, or what makes you really pick that throwback for tonight's race?
Just like the colors of it. It was the number 1 car. Obviously, everybody knows I like to kind of go sometimes ones that people don't know about too much. So that's why I went with this one, because not a lot of people really know about it. Everybody knows the Pennzoil number 1 and all those stuff. So, and I try to keep it with number specific. So went out there, and I've raced this car in a few leagues before. Graded myself, but yeah, it's just not in the Spark. I wasn't even born when this was ran. So.
Not old, thank you.
yeah, sorry, but I hate to see that we couldn't do anything with it. Got up to 6th, and no words for what happened, because that shouldn't happen at any level, any league, any nothing. So
I do have to ask you out of curiosity, did the admins mention anything about about the
I-
cautions tonight?
I don't
I'm just
know. I
curious.
apologize if somebody got into me when I was backing up, but the rear suspension was broke. That's why I spun out again. And then I'm like literally on the track, and I'm like, how is there not a caution? Like I don't.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it, but whatever. I tried to get out of there as quick as possible. I don't know if anybody got into me or not, but I just, yeah, just I'm overly frustrated with this season, overly frustrated with this car. I do not like this car, and I really just want to get it over with. I know it's a long season, but it's just not enjoyable. And like I said, least fun I've had in 10 seasons I've been here, and that's sad because I look forward to usually racing every Sunday, and now I'm starting to not. So. That's very unfortunate.
Well, not to be the I don't know the whatever in the punch bowl, but you're back tomorrow night at High Tide Racing League, of course, back in the ARCA car again.
Yeah, that's why I'm said I'm like, yeah, I'm sick of this car and I got to run it twice, and that's what really hurts. And I look at the stats. My average running position is in solid position, and my average finishes are just in the tank. So. And a lot of it's not my own doing, so it's just very frustrating. And the cars don't allow separation. Here they do, but it's just allows people to overdrive the car and drive over their heads, and that's what doesn't create good racing. I know it looks good on the broadcast sometimes, but in the car it's frustrating.
Fair enough. Well, Ty, we'll listen. Sorry not the run you wanted tonight, but we'll see you tomorrow night at Auto Club.
Yeah, all right. Thank you, guys.
All right, that's Ty Marasco, driver of that #1 Hooters machine. We were both wrong, Emmett. We had different drivers, but he pulled out Rick Mast on us.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. He pulled that out, and I was like, whoa, I didn't even think about that. Of course, just like Ty, that was before my time when that car was running the track for sure.
I feel like a dinosaur. You guys said that. You know that. It's, boy. Oh, boy. Well, it's one thing to change during that interview we did with Ty Marasco. And, of course, thank Ty for his time. We have a new leader. It's Brian Zimmerman, that number 28 machine. He's now trying to put that 60-car lap down and get around him. He's got Cody Gibson hot on his tail. Then Dalton Kilroe's up to third. John Perkins in fourth. Rick Thompson's in fifth. So Zimmerman took advantage of all that little bit of confusion on the start with the old tires, and he is trying to pull away from this field.
Yeah, Zimmerman got a great restart, and like I said, he rocketed to the outside and passed Carroll on that high side, and then Cody Gibson was sitting there and he saw it. And Cody's probably been waiting for that high line to come out because he's been running that high line since the drop of the green flag. So he was waiting for that high line, and when he saw that coming, he definitely took advantage of it and was able to pass Carroll standing still.
Looking back through the field to see some different cars. There's Perkins back there. Of course, that's Rick Thompson behind him. Brian Dees back there in the Tide ride. So different cars, but again, pretty much single file racing. It feels like it's hard to pass this ARCA car, and that's so different, Emmett. And I know it's just about the track, because it feels like a lot of times we watch these cars. We did it in Texas a couple weeks ago. They'll be at Auto Club tomorrow night in a different league. A lot of times these cars are so side by side and so draft heavy. It's kind of weird to see racing like this in these ARCA cars.
Yeah, it definitely is really weird. But I mean, these are the Gen 6 Cup cars, and if we remember the Gen 6, they were just like this, just running around the track. Had some good aerodynamic races, but when we got to like a intermediate track or a short track or a mile and a half, it was like this. And it's all about downforce and trying to get that side draft. And the thing is also is the body style. I mean, if you go side by side with somebody and you trade a little paint, you could cut down their tire, if you remember right, Derrick, as we saw many times in that Gen 6 car.
Yeah, we have seen, of course, this car race many times at Rockingham, and different versions of cars. This used to be the second race on the schedule for the NASCAR series, and got moved around from time to time and went from 2 races to 1 and then 1 to 0, unfortunately. And then, of course, back this year made a resurgence, right? The Truck Series went there, the Xfinity Series went there, and sort of the odd thing to think about now, Emmett, now they had a race, they had success there,
yeah.
And now the track's up for sale.
Yeah, can you believe that? I was wondering the same thing, but it makes me wonder if Marcus Smith is going to purchase it and make it part of the Speedway Corporation. It makes you wonder for sure.
Just makes me think that whoever is the business owner there is smart. They want to sell while the quote unquote stock is up, right? Not that there is stock, but hey, everyone's talking about it now. It just had some races there, so its value has inevitably gone up, right? It's like adding a pool to your house. It causes your home value to go up. Well, there's been 2 races here this year. That will of course raise the sale price of the track, you would have to assume. So back here on track again, the 33 of John Perkins, the 17 of Brian Dees. These guys are racing hard. Look at that. You see Dees trying to run this like a half lane down, just trying to find a way around, and he does. He's now going to get down below the 33 and through the corner side by side on lap 76, and Dees completes the pass.
Yeah, Dees completes the pass, and I tell you, Brian Dees, let me ask you this, Derek. If we give out an award for, best looking throwback, who you going with?
Oh, I mean, I'm so that's hard. I love that number 5 right there. Weirdly enough, the Budweiser card, the beginning that got involved in a wreck was a nice throwback. That Miller Genuine Draft cards, and this would be a hard choice. I can tell you're probably going for the 17. I'm undecided. The Mellow Yellow, it is a throwback. That one's used pretty commonly as a meme across iRacing, so that's harder for me to pick that one. I'll come back to this. I don't know yet.
I'll throw you actually a wild card. I'm actually digging the 58 Kodiak car. I mean, that is spot on. That looks just like Rusty Wallace's machine for sure.
Yeah, a couple cars maybe no longer in the shape they once were in contention. That Kyle Petty NWO machine was great. The number 26 WCW machine, that was a great version of that throwback. That was only an Xfinity car in real life, if I recall right, the WCW car. But lots of great throwbacks here tonight in this race. Well, weird enough to think we just finished stage 1. We're almost to the end of stage 2. I mean, end of lap 96. So about 17, 18 laps from now, they'll be done with their second stage. And then we go green flag racing for the rest of the way.
Yeah, go green flag racing, and it's going to play a factor is if we get another, we're going to have a green flag pit stop, so that's going to come into play and see who can get advantage and see all the strategies that I'll take to take away that race lead and possibly the win.
And interestingly enough, I think it's really a tale of 2 stages, Emmett, and I'm curious if you have a different perspective. The first stage, kind of wild, right? A couple incidents, maybe we questioned why the caution didn't come out. This time, not so much, but what I've noticed this time is there's more cars, I think, getting passed by the leaders than there was in the first stage.
Yeah, definitely a lot more cars getting passed by the leaders, the lap cars. And as the time goes on, I mean, that number's going to get bigger and bigger. And, like, oh my gosh, Mark Arthur all the way down to 14th.
Yeah, well, I had some kind of problem here. Also, Cody Gibson's back to the lead, by the way, as well. He got around Brian Zimmerman, so a couple of different things happen here in this moment. So this is the battle right here. This is Dalton Kilrow. This is for P3. Rick Thompson's right behind him in P4. D's back in P5. So this is the battle for the podium here on lap 81. We see Thompson have a little bit of connection problems. See that little bit of blinking car. Boy, if you're the car behind, if you're D's, that must be driving you crazy.
Yeah, it's got to be driving you crazy, and you're definitely he's probably telling Kilrow to, Thompson, my bad, to check his Wi-Fi and make sure McDonald's hasn't shut down yet.
Yeah. And, the blinking thing is interesting. A lot of us want to blame it on internet, right? It's not always internet, right? If you have your graphics settings turned up, if your CPU is trying to process more data that can handle, you'll start to blink. So, again, commonly, internet is the problem. But who knows? I mean, it could just be something bad in your neighborhood. It could be a storm rolling through. It could be a Windows update firing off. Who knows what it could be? But I think now, as Rick Thompson's fallen back behind Brian Dees, I think for the moment, it's worked itself out.
Yeah, it looks like it's definitely worked itself out. So we'll see how it goes. Is Rick Thompson trying to get around Dees, but Dees trying to get around Kilrow. This is a good 3-way battle for third. And like you said, that final
side by side.
Oh, man.
Almost door leaning was Brian Dees, but now he's going to keep some space between himself in the car on the outside. That's Dalton Kilrow, your second place in points in the night. But boy, the biggest benefactor is Rick Thompson, because as Dees and Kilrow are slowing each other up, Thompson is closing the gap.
Yeah, and Thompson now we see starting to blink, so it could definitely be. That's kind of funny because like Thompson wasn't the car that was blinking before, but now since Thompson's gotten around getting next to these cars, I wonder if he's dropping frames, and that's why he's starting to blink or something.
And of course, this connection problem, you know, when I talk with other friends and talk with, you know, Evan Pasoko, we always refer to this as just the technical or the virtual version of those real life racing gremlins, right? We don't really have, you know, random, you know, things go bad in the car, right? The computers don't go bad in the car per se. You don't have gearboxes drop out. You just have connection problems every now and then.
Yeah, you don't have hardware disconnections either. So, yeah, just a virtual deal right here. But I mean, he's right up alongside of Kilrow. And the thing is, these cars, if you get alongside of them for too long, there could be a pocket of air, and it could ultimately turn you around and get you back up into the wall.
Yeah, it definitely could. We've seen a couple drivers up in the wall for different reasons tonight, so we'll see if any more end up there. But now we're working lap 87. Now less than 10 laps to go in this stage, and I think it's important to focus on the tires for a second, Emmett. For those who pitted under this last stage, so let's take our leader. Let's take Dalton Kilrow. He's on track right there on the camera. Dalton Kilrow, his fastest lap tonight, a 24.329. Last time by a 25.8. He's dropped almost a second and a half due to tire fall off.
Yeah, definitely, and it's crazy how much these tires have fallen off. But what is that? I mean, if you're Cody Gibson or Brian Zimmerman, I don't think you're worrying that much about tire fall off, but you're right there with everybody in this first 5 cars that came down pit road under that stage break. So definitely be an interesting topic as we get later on and close out the stage for sure.
Yeah, we'll wait and see as this stage goes on and what may happen here. Of course, again, there's that connection problem for Thompson. You see he's right around now Justin Levine, who's trying to get around him. And again, for every driver, what's that mentality like when you're trying to pass a car that has that little bit of connection problem?
I think you're just hoping that they don't cause, you know, they come down on you or something. And I mean, because you're racing an invisible car for just a second, but when you can't see it, I think that's when you just try to stay out of trouble, and hopefully they don't come down on you and ruin your night for sure.
Yeah, that's the biggest concern, right? Because when they blink, you don't always know exactly where they are. You're kind of having to race with a little bit of blind confidence. Everything's going to be okay. So you're trying to get around as fast as possible. 5 to go. 5 to go in stage number 2. Right now, it's Gibson, Zimmerman, Dees, Levine, and Thompson. Your top 5.
Yeah, as we see Levine still trying to get around Brian Dees. Now look at Mark Arthur. That is not full position.
By the way, we should note here, and sorry to cut you off, but whoa, look at that. That's Chris Carroll on top. He's having a heck of a time. Remember, he did not take tires in the first stage break, Emmett, and he has gone from being stage 1 winner to being the first car, I believe, a lap down near the end of stage 2.
Yeah, and that's very interesting, Derek, as he has not come in for tires at all. But Mark Arthur, Arthur actually, Derek, is in the process for free pass. But if Carroll is able to catch up to Arthur somehow, something happens to Arthur, then Carroll could get the free pass to get back on the line.
I don't see that happening with 2 to go at the line. It's hard to think Carroll on new tires, Arthur on new. Easy bet to be Mark Arthur. It's this when the caution comes out. And of course, Chris Carroll has to hope for another one. There's no way he can stay out. There's no way he can take the free pass here. He's trying to close the gap here, but here we are now working lap 95. And I mean, Carroll's trying. I'll give him that. But I just don't. Even if he gets there, there's no way he makes it stick. I don't think, Emmett.
I mean, I don't think he's going to make it stick. And as we took a look, and it looks like Trevor Harmon has an issue right here, Derek.
This got it wildly loose out the corner there. Here we are, 1 lap to go. Cody Gibson's trying to wrap up a stage victory. He's got Brian Zimmerman less than a second behind. And at second stage, second winner out of turn 3 and 4 for the final time of stage number 2, ending at lap number 96. That 7 car featuring Chester Cheeto is the victor, stage 2.
Yeah, that 7 car's flaming hot for sure. As now we look right here, and Carroll made a good effort at it, but he's not going to be able to get that lucky dog. It'll go to Mark Arthur for sure.
It will go to Mark Arthur. That's exactly correct. Yeah, you're right about that. Well, here we are into stage 2. Cody Gibson is the winner. Gibson, Zimmerman, Levine, Dees, Thompson, your top 5. Kilrow, Perkins, Butcher, Benjamin, Bell, and Jason Powell gets up to P10. So that's your top 10 for the stage. And now you have to think 4 tires and gas. After what Chris Carroll did, there's no way anyone does it again, right?
I wouldn't. I would be very surprised if that happens. I'm walking home. I mean, from the track, because I don't think. I don't think it'll happen for sure.
No, I think everyone's learned the lesson. That doesn't work, right? And it's even worse because now there's no stage break. Now you have to go till the car's dry, technically, to make it work. So let's see what's going to happen here. A couple drivers are coming down, and everyone's coming down.
Oh wow!
Sorry, we both missed it. James Efall was a lap down. He's going to be the lucky dog. So
Wow.
Arthur does not get it either. Cody Gibson makes the long trip down pit road all the way to the front. And Chris Carroll, black flag. That's got to be a speeding penalty, you have to think.
Yeah, it's got to be a speeding penalty, and now Carroll, I think he's learned from his mistake coming down. Actually,
All right, well,
They're
being told
gonna-
that black flag may not stick for Chris Carroll, but look at that.
wow.
Race off pit road, got close. I thought Zimmerman was going to get it.
Oh man,
But Gibson barely gets away.
Yeah, Gibson gets the advantage and hangs on to the top spot. Looks
There's
like
a
the
couple
18.
cars on pit road. There's the 18. What the heck's going on there? All right, well, let's do this. We didn't get to do it in the first stage, but in the second stage, let's take a moment real quick and let's catch up with your race winner of Cody Gibson. Cody, you won the second stage in that Cheetos machine. Good job.
Thanks, guys. Whew. Out here sweating.
I bet you are. It looks a little fun down here. It looks a little bumpy, a little difficult. How are the tires handling as we're going through these stages?
Burning them up, baby. Burning them up. So I'll have to save a little bit on this run.
So I have to ask you, of course, in the first stage, your teammate Chris Carroll won the stage but didn't take tires. I know your teammates with him. What does he have to say in the second stage? Is he just frustrated?
Yeah, I think they didn't think we were going to lap them, but we did.
Fair enough. Well, no, listen, I know we're 1 to go. It's fast cautions here. Congrats on the stage 2 win. I'll put you back with your teammates, and good luck the rest of the race.
Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you. That is Cody Gibson, driver of that Cheetos machine, and let's put him back with 5 Kings Motorsport. No. Also, we're being told the reason why Mark Arthur is not the lucky dog. Maybe we'll get to look at this once we go green here, Emmett. We're being told there was a wreck under caution that involved Mark Arthur, and that would therefore void the lucky dog. Here we are, green flag.
Oh man,
Cody Gibson around. That James Efall black flag might be looked at. Let's wait and see what's going to happen before we make it official. But Gibson pulls away. He's got Veen right behind him. And then it's going to be Brian Zimmerman behind him. And I can say the Efall black flag has been cleared, so nothing to worry about there.
Yeah, that's a huge break for Efall right there. You know, gets back on the lead lap after getting the lucky dog. And the 18 car having trouble back there with Lenny Bell. The 18 of Jay Powell. And here comes the mystery machine coming up there also. What happened to Kilrow, Derrick? He's way back there.
Oh, hold on.
Oh, man.
Contact. And
Oh,
wall. It's a 43. Down on the track again. No caution seem to be signaling here.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not a good day for Team Canada here at Rockingham for sure.
am confused. Let's go ahead and take a look at what happened under caution. This is going to be that moment with Mark Arthur. And let's see what's going to happen right there. Oh, there's a big checkup.
Oh, there's Kilrow.
That's what happened to Kilrow. You asked that question earlier. Oh, there they are. They're still spinning on back.
Wow.
I don't see where Arthur got involved, but there you go.
Wow.
Well, that's what happened under caution. That helped the cause change the lucky dog in the moment of caution and different factors, but of a scary moment. That's why Kilrow's to the back and what's going on. I'm still perplexed by the lack of cautions. Maybe we'll get word post-race and what happened, and I don't know, but here we are now back live. This is going to be the battle for the front of the field. As remember, that's Brian Dees, that different look this week in the Tide ride. That is Brian Zimmerman up ahead. That's Justin Levine. That's 2, 3, 4. Because Cody Gibson is over a half a second ahead of these cars.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, isn't Bell? Isn't he from Canada as well? That's what I meant by the Team Canada deal.
No, I get what you meant. Yeah, I'm not sure where
Gary
Bell is from, but yeah, no, I got the.
Okay, I didn't know if you got it or not.
I can pick up what you're putting down usually, but yeah, no. A bad night for Bell, and again, no cautions. Now all that damage he's going to get fixed, if any, is going to have to be under green flag condition.
Yeah, that's a tough break for Bell. Hard lick, by the way. And look at Rick Thompson. I mean, he's trying to get up on D's, but look at John Perkins. I mean, you know, we said, gave the reference of Cole Trickle. John Perkins trying to drive like Cole Trickle, trying to get around these two cars for sure.
Well, he's driving like Cole Trickle. That means it's been the last 10 laps or so. He'll find that extra gear he hasn't used the rest of the race.
Yeah, definitely. And man, how about Levine just right up on the back bumper?
Here comes your points leader. This is the back of the field now. This is that number 18, that Interstate Batteries machine. He's got some different writing on it, but that's the sort of the scheme it's going after, right? The Interstate Batteries MB&A machine, and a great look there. I love when drivers are able to kind of mix old and new together. That's a great scheme because of that. It's not just a copycat of what once was. It sort of is trying to modernize that look.
Yeah, I love seeing the Bobbleverse on there. That's awesome right there too.
Yeah, a long one, right? As most Psalms are. So
yeah,
a great run by the number 18. Now look up front. This is Zimmerman. He's now wanting to get around Levine. Can't quite make that happen. Kind of tucked down for a minute and then got back out of it here. But these guys are slowly reeling back in. Cody Gibson in this race.
Yeah, look at Brian Zimmerman. I mean, he didn't lose a step. I mean, he lost that P2 spot on the restart, but he's fighting back hard, and he's trying to do it on the bottom, kind of on the high side. It's kind of interesting the line he's running, kind of middle groove, wouldn't you say, Derrick?
I guess you could call it middle groove. Yeah, just up a groove maybe. And there's
hard contact for Rick Thompson. Sorry to cut you off.
No, that's a good call. That's Thompson. I was looking at the bottom of the screen. I was looking at the car getting lapped, and you were looking up top. Just different moments, different action. That's what different racing can happen. There's now, boy, a little bit of a logjam here at Rockingham.
Yeah, is that the 74 machine, I believe?
Yeah, I think so as well.
Wow.
Let's watch it.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
That's the hit up top for Rick Thompson. Boy, that looked hard. That looked. I suspect there's some major handling problems in this car. Watch him again. This is going to get a little loose. Try to overcorrect it.
Oh yeah.
Up in the wall.
Yeah, just got just a little bit loose, and makes you wonder if. I mean, there's the rubbers. The track looks like it's biting the rubber. I mean, these tires. We just saw there with Rick Thompson. I just think something's wrong with those tires. You know, I think it's getting a little slick down bottom, so we might see these guys try to drift up to the high side when we come out of turn 2.
Well, if there wasn't something wrong with those tires for Rick Thompson, I bet there is now after that wall hit. So
definitely.
We'll keep an eye on that. Look at that. Cody Gibson's moved up, though. Look at that. You talked about the lines changing and lines moving and different factors. Cody Gibson wants to make the top end work. Now, remember, it's been about, maybe 2.5 years ago now, Iverson came out with that new dynamic track system where drivers can do things like rubber in a track, right? It's no longer just what line the race starts with. If a driver or a set of drivers gets persistent, they can rubber in a line. They can rubber in a path on the track as the race goes on.
And I tell you what's going to be even more interesting and make it even more realistic is when drivers are able to add track resin to a certain line and have it activate from the heat of the tires and have that come into play as well.
Yeah, we'll see if or when that feature ever does come into existence. And by the way, speaking of which, if you want to see some of the new features coming to iRacing, the iRacing developers blog came out about a week or so ago. You can go to the iRacing website or log into the iRacing UI, and you can read that blog, see some new cars and new tracks, see some new features coming to both the NASCAR side and the road racing side. A brand new rebuild of the GT3s basically is coming. Lots of new features coming to iRacing. And remember, only a couple weeks away now, so expect we'll see some new features and announcements, new videos and trailers coming probably this or next week from iRacing. But look, it's on board. This is Brian Zimmerman. He's trying to catch Levine, and now Levine has moved up to the top lane.
Yeah, Levine's moved up to the top lane, just trying to stay in the tracks of Gibson. But another interesting thing, Derek, let's see, we're in June. We are 3 months away from iRacing's first NASCAR console game coming out on, I believe, in September. I believe.
Yeah,
maybe.
I don't know that the date's officially been announced. I know that's probably around the time we all think it's coming, or maybe it's been rumored it's coming, but lots of things happening. Remember, I said next week, about 10 days from now is the next iRacing update. Then we got many special events upcoming, got more stuff coming to Green Flag TV, so lots of stuff to keep your eyes peeled for as time goes on. We'll see what effect that console game has, right? Obviously, iRacing has a very, very strong, oval program on the service itself, and iRacing has really gotten that license, and they're trying their best to make that console game work. So we'll see how many of these cars, do the ARCA cars exist? How much different does the console game feel? What does the immersion provide? That career system, lots to look forward to.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen the screenshots, we've seen everything from the dev diaries. The thing that got me was talking about you'd earn more fan base by starring in a movie. So that was very interesting to see that on the screenshots. And I tell you, if it's as good as we saw in those dev diaries with Pit Road and everything and the team working on the car, we're in for one heck of a game for sure.
Yeah, we could be. But right now what we're in for is one heck of a race because Levine is slowly catching Cody Gibson lap by lap. He's reeling him in, and it's going to be Levine trying his best. Remember, Levine is your points leader. He came into tonight 9 points ahead of Dalton Kilrow. Kilrow about is back up to P8 after that incident we saw at the end of stage 2. But Levine could get to the front. If Levine could lead a lap, if Levine could win this race, he will open that lead back up, Emmett.
Yeah, definitely. And now we see Levine, he's using the high side, and he's actually gaining ground on Gibson. I don't know if he can get around him on the high side because Gibson likes to use the high side. I think Levine's going to have to go low if he wants to get around Gibson and take this lead away.
Yeah, we'll wait and see. Because Levine's trying to get about a half car lower than Gibson. I'm not sure if that's the preferred lane, if it's trying to get some of the air off of the car to kind of help with the aerodynamics. Now he's about half lane higher than Gibson. He is trying to do anything Cody Gibson's not doing.
Yeah, and that was very interesting how Gibson went low that time and Levine went high. And Levine gained a lot of ground because he got a great run out of that turn. But look at this. I mean, gets great runs out of on corner exit, and he's able to get right up on the back bumper of Cody Gibson. So interesting for sure, Derek.
Yeah, interesting for sure. So look at that. That's the gap. It's closing again. It's now down to less than about 0.2 of a second from Gibson to Levine.
Right up. Here he goes right here, Derek. He's going to shoot to the inside, trying to get alongside of me. Oh, man.
Not to make it. Gibson's doing a great job at pinching that corner, sticking Levine to the bottom, and then that's where that momentum dies. That's where the run dies. And now we went back to about 0.3 of a second back.
Wow.
As now Levine's closer to Zimmerman than he is to Gibson.
Yeah, but look at Fred Thompson right here. I thought maybe Gibson was going to use him as a pick, but he's not. But look at the ground that Levine's able to catch back up and get right back up there and battle for this lead with Gibson. That car is just he can drive it anyway. He can go high, low. I mean, anyway, here we go.
Oh, there it is. Yep, there's Levine to the bottom under the 7 car. Now it's about 3/4 clear. Not clear yet. And now he is. Oh, he put Gibson had to get up to the wall to avoid him. I mean, Levine, a very well-accomplished iRacer. I mean, he's been a part of the eNASCAR Road to Pro Series a couple times. He's run One Sim Motorsports. He's had numerous famous drivers, on that team. So Levine knows what he's doing on the track.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, these two right here are putting on a heck of a show. But you got to be thinking Brian Zimmerman's thinking if these two get together, he could come out and steal it for sure.
Well, with the way this track works, Zimmerman's bigger concern might be if they get together, where does he go? And then Zimmerman just went up to the wall. That's where he went. But now it's Gibson, Levine, Zimmerman in that order. This is becoming a great battle on the track here with 112 laps to go.
Yeah, and look at Levine. He's going to shoot up high. Now he's just diamond in the corner and getting that run. And look right here. He's going to shoot to the inside, trying to pull the slide job this time. Oh, he's going to get up. Oh, man.
Oh, big checkup by everybody. And look at that. Zimmerman riding one round by. Gibson had to check up. Levine had to check up. And Zimmerman says, I'll take that. And now he is about 1/4 of a second ahead of Levine and Gibson.
Yeah, just like I was talking about. That's what I figured Brian Zimmerman was just sitting there in the weeds just waiting for these two to get together, and then he was going to pounce. And that's exactly what happened right there as he just scooted on by on the bottom. Wow.
You're right. I thought they just got tight at first, but right there was contact, door-to-door contact. Levine made it up into Gibson to the wall, and Zimmerman just took advantage and went right on around. Well, here it is. Now Gibson's going to try and close this gap. Gibson's going to try and catch up, and now we'll see if Cody Gibson and Levine can get around that old Texaco Havoline machine.
We see Gibson still using that high side. Levine's right there. You got to be thinking, if you're Justin Levine, he's probably thinking, how can he kill two birds with one stone for sure? If he can try to pull off a double move and get past these two cars, if he gets enough momentum and enough arrow, the arrow comes into play and able to pull the slingshot on both cars for sure.
Levine looks to the bottom of the 7. He's going to try to get side by side again, backs out a little bit. Doesn't want to make that contact again. Notice he made it the first time. Does not want it to happen again. Now remember, we're not even close to done. We still got pit stops, whether they're green flag or yellow flag. We'll decide that when the time comes. But these drivers still have a pit stop to think about. They still have strategy to think about. And Levine to the bottom is now almost to the bottom of the track, and he's trying to get every inch around Gibson. Up top, they get contact. Levine's around onto the bottom of the track, and no caution. Again, but I see Joey Neese has some required repairs. He's now down pit road. And Levine just went from second back through the field.
Yeah, Levine just, like I said, if these cars are just side by side for just a little bit too long, there's no real timer. So we take a look at what happened to Neese right here. Looks like he just barely hit the wall.
Yeah, my guess is that's not the first time. It's the first time we saw it, but probably not the first time he's had that contact. And eventually you just do it enough times that you hurt something, you damage something, you break something, whatever happens. But watch this again. Here's Levine. He's going to come up and he's just going to make contact with Gibson, who luckily, you could almost say the wall saved Cody Gibson, right? He kind of righted that ship and kept him moving forward, but Levine back down to the field.
Yeah, and meanwhile, while that happened, Brian Zimmerman has jumped out to a 1.8 second lead over Cody Gibson. And now we see Brian Dees actually pull into the number 2 spot. So could Gibson have maybe some tire problems going, or?
Oh, he's definitely got some kind of problem, right? It could be aerodynamic problem. It could be anything. Mm-hmm. We'll wait and see here's Brian Dees now going to go around here. He's now going to get around, as I said, and straight around Cody Gibson. But my guess is for Gibson, it's either car damage or it's just a little bit of frustration is slowing down that car.
Yeah, definitely. So now we look at Brian Dees right here as Chris Carroll. The lap machine is, this is not for position, as John Perkins, Now John Perkins has passed Justin Levine. So Levine's still in 5th, so it really didn't hurt him that much, if y'all think about it. But look at Cody Gibson just riding around there in no man's land, just cruising. As now we see John Perkins coming up there, and look further back, Rick Thompson battling with Kilrow for the 8th spot. Now Kilrow goes by on the inside line trying to get that 7th spot, excuse me. Now Thompson, they're side by side, and while this is all going on, James Efaw, who is now a lap down, I mean, all these guys are just running around, and now we look right here as Perkins is able to get around Justin Levine and take away that 4th spot. But look at our Texas winner, Mr. Taylor Butcher Benjamin, or TBB as we like to call him, back up there in the 6th position, rocking the Eric Almirola throwback with the Smithfield colors. Great to see that car out there. But up front, Brian Zimmerman continuing to lead as he's pulled out to a 2-second lead, and now it's growing to a 2.2 second lead. So Brian Zimmerman really starting to pull away as we have 100 laps to go in this race, and it's going to be interesting to see how those pit stops come into play when that comes in. As now we see Cody Gibson coming in for a stop. This has to be scheduled, I would think.
Yeah,
so
lap 42 would be right around the time I would think it would be scheduled. I mean, remember, though, he might be coming down to fix that damage. He might have decided whatever happened to the outside of that car might be worth fixing. So let's wait to see when anyone else comes down pit road here and who doesn't win. But we've seen some other cars down pit road recently, so we'll wait and see. Brad Lawson was down recently. Mark Arthur was down on lap 98. Those have been after the stage, so I guess we'll wait and see again here. Let's watch how long Cody Gibson's on pit road. There's the first set of tires going on. That's the right side of the car. Camera left. That goes down. Other side comes up right there. Let's see if he pulls away. If he pulls away, then it's just a scheduled stop. There it is. Yep. You're right. That's just a scheduled stop. If it had been longer, he'd have wanted to fix damage, but that's not the case here.
That's exactly right. And now look at Justin Levine and all this lap traffic.
Oh.
Man, how did he thread the needle right there and pull it through the middle? That was tight, for sure.
Tight indeed it was for Justin Levine. He's got John Perkins right behind him in that mellow yellow machine. And remember, Levine had that trouble earlier where he got into Cody Gibson, fell back as far as P5 or P6, is working his way back through. The pit cycle will help him a little bit, but really didn't lose that many spots for that big slide he had.
Yeah, and what really helped him was how many cars are on, or at least a lap down. That really helped him right there, Derrick, because he wasn't able to lose that many positions.
So, assuming a caution never comes out tonight, which I would not put my money on, this is the battle for the lucky dog. This is Chris Carroll. This is Mark Arthur. And they are racing hard. This is for P8, P9. That's how well the leaders are doing. They have lapped up to P8, and they're really not that far from P7. They're about half a track from Dalton Kilrow. So this is the battle for the lucky dog right now. So these guys are racing really just line by line, and Mark Arthur wants to find his way around Chris Carroll.
Yeah, Mark Arthur, traded in the old Barbie machine to run this Miller Premium Draft throwback, and in the 12 machine trying to get around Chris Carroll. Great racing going on between these two for this. If we get a caution, lucky dog position.
Yeah, if that happens, will be the question. You see a couple cars up ahead. Arthur moves up, and now it's going to move down. It's going to try and take the pass here on the straight. Gets up inside the 97 and makes the pass. They're still side by side through 1 and 2. Arthur's on the bottom. Carroll's up top. They're going to up out of the corner, and really, Arthur did a good job. He tracked out as far as he could, maybe make Carroll a little nervous. Now down through 3 and 4. They're side by side again. You see there Joey Neese back on pit road once again. And Carroll is going to be the leader at the line here.
Yeah, Carroll got that position there at the line. But look at Mark Arthur trying. And that's what I'm talking about, Derrick. These cars, if you're side by side for just, it's like a timer. But you don't know when that time bomb's going to go off. If you're side by side for as long as it will let you, and if you go past just a little bit past that timer, that's when your car will go around, and it can cause chaos and carnage for sure.
Remember, at one point, Mark Arthur set the fastest lap of this race at 24.177. That's why you see that little stopwatch icon next to his name on the leaderboard. So Mark's had some great success here earlier, but of course we're many laps into this run now, right? So these tires are worn, they're beat up, they're a little angry, and there is Zimmerman down pit road. So
Yeah.
that is your leader. He has pitted right now, so that's going to make sure we do continue kicking off this run. Boy, with 91 laps to go, that means we're probably all pitting again, by the way, because I don't think anyone's going to go 91 laps here on any kind of tank of fuel.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, the most you can go is what, 40 laps probably?
Well, we went from lap 96 now 151, so about
60?
55 laps.
55? Yeah.
So Zimmerman now down pit roads, now parked in his pit stall. Here comes, then there's Chris Carroll now down pit road. He's, at least for the moment, surrendered the lucky dog. There's James Efall. So slowly, these cars will start to come down pit road. So right now, it's Justin Levine leading this race. He's got Brian Dees right on his. Nope, he doesn't have Brian Dees on his tail because Brian Dees is now going to come down pit road.
Yeah, and Dees, it looked like he was flying down pit road, but coming in, but I think he got her woed down in time to not have a penalty. But yeah, look at Justin Levine out here back leading here at the Rock.
Doing a great job. Levine, of course, has set a well-accomplished iRacer, almost a 7K iRating. One of the best on the service to do what he does. Come around once again, takes the lead, takes the credit for leading more laps. And we'll wait and see how long. This will be the question. Remember you said how long can someone go? Well, Levine is still out here. He last pitted on lap 99. We are now working lap 154. So how far Levine pushes it will kind of tell you how far these cars can go.
Yeah, that'll definitely play into it. John Perkins riding around in P2. And looky there, Derrick, our Texas winner, Mr. TBB, riding around in P3.
Doing a great job catching up through the field, at least for the moment during the pit cycle. Even saw a small bit of a puff of smoke coming through as Levine barely tapped the wall a moment ago. So even our leader, not exempt from a wall tap every now and then, but Levine's doing, no, boy, look at that car slide through there barely. If he didn't touch the wall, I don't know how he missed that wall. Oh, there it is. And he's trying to wall ride and gain the speed, but with that wall riding comes that risk versus reward of doing something bad.
Yeah, with great responsibility comes, with great power comes responsibility, great responsibility. But yeah, I mean, that's what you gamble by doing that wall ride. You might get, scrub off some fast times, but you could also hit the wall pretty hard and you could ruin that car for the rest of the race.
Boy, look at the way he's fighting that wheel, just back and forth, back and forth. Right side of your screen, all those cars one or more laps down. Jason Powell, Brad Lawson, William Bruton, all down pit road. They're going to get their pit stops in. But Levine's continuing to be the class of the field, continuing just to lap after lap after lap. And what you got to wonder is, what benefit is this to Levine, right? Is he doing something where he's able to cut off his last pit stop time? But in the meantime, let's look at it this way. How much time is he losing, right? So Taylor Butcher Benjamin is now down pitting. Let's take a look at a car who has pitted. Cody Gibson, lap 142. Cody's running almost a second per lap faster than Justin Levine.
I think what Justin Levine's doing is he's holding out to see if Perkins and Thompson and Kilrow are going to come in. And when now we see Perkins coming in. I think if they come in and he laps the field, then we'll see him come in for sure.
Yeah, we'll wait and see when Levine makes that call. My guess he's going to try to hang it out as long as possible and try to shorten the rest of this run. But again, look at the bottom of your screen. You see those laps, lap by lap. Gibson almost a full second faster than Justin Levine. And there it is again, now almost 3/4 of a second faster. So the longer Levine stays out, at least in the short term, he's giving up lots of time to the rest of the field.
Yeah, definitely giving up a lot of time. But yeah, look at the comparison. I mean,
he's finally going to call that run there. So that's going to be on lap 160 coming to 61. It means that he went about 62 laps.
Wow.
On a tank of fuel. So that means that with 81 to go, he's got to pit again. But now that last pit stop can be shorter than the rest of the field.
Yeah, it definitely can be. Probably see him come in with about 20 to go, I would think, or around that bracket. Wouldn't you think so?
Yeah, we'll see what he does with it. and how he does that when that time comes. Here's Brian Zimmerman. Now, this is now the race for 4th and 5th. Zimmerman and Gibson, 4th and 5th. It's still Rick Thompson who needs to pit, as well as Dalton Kilrow, Mark Arthur. So those is the different cars. Here comes Thompson. So for right now, that battle you saw for 4th and 5th will become the battle for the lead once everyone pits.
See Arthur coming in also. Now we're just waiting for Dalton Kilrow to come in, and this is
tonight's 2nd in points.
Yeah,
I think he's gonna be not pitting this time. Kilrow is on a bit of a run. He won last night in the SRA NAS Classic League here on Green Flag TV. Runs tonight. He'll be part of the broadcast tomorrow night as a driver. The number 141 MFRD machine at the High Tide Racing League. So we'll see him 3 nights in a row here on Green Flag TV. But Kilrow is doing a good job. And what I like here, what he's done, Emmett, is he's now taken that credit for leading a lap. So now in some ways, at least on the stat board, he's tied Levine for having that honor.
Yeah, definitely tied Levine for that honor. And he's really doing great, keeping it on there, but it's just going to be interesting. As we saw, he was he was on pit road at lap 65. So, he's coming in. Nope. He's rolling through the.
Oh, he's clutching. He is saving every ounce of fuel. He is trying to do what we talked about with Levine earlier. He is trying to see if he can save enough fuel to, make that last pit stop count. But look at him again, down to 110, almost 105 in the corners. That's a lot of fuel. So remember, Kilrow last pitted lap 99 into that stage. He's now working lap 165.
There's no way he can save this much fuel. I mean, it's impossible.
The problem is the time he's losing, right? The problem, last time by a 26.577 for Dalton Kilrow. That said, Brian Zimmerman, a 24.950. So he's gaining, or excuse me, he's losing, wrong way, about 1.5 to 2 seconds a lap on Zimmerman. So who knows how this works out, but look at Zimmerman closing in.
I mean,
fast.
He's going to blow past him. Yeah, he's going to blow past him on the bottom.
Now, again, if you're Kilrow, what you're hoping for, since there's been no cautions tonight, you're hoping you save enough gas here that maybe this is now maybe this is your last stop, right? Now you're hoping that you save enough gas that you don't need to stop again, and then these guys do. That's got to be the play here that Kilrow's hoping for.
You'd think so, we hear that car just hard on the clutch in the corner.
I think the target's about 3 more laps to make this a one stopper. So we'll see if he can make that happen or how close he can get. The danger in this play for Kilrow, is that every time he does this, those cars are coming up so darn fast. It makes you nervous that someone's not going to be aware of how slow he is, right?
Yeah, look at this as we see Powell get to the outside and takes the mystery machine with him. I believe that is... What number is that mystery machine? I couldn't read the number.
Yeah, a little hard to read when it goes by. Let's take a look and we'll find that in just a moment here.
80.
I believe that's going to be the 85. So that would make that Brad Lawson.
Okay, Brad Lawson, yeah. But yeah, so Jay Powell and Brad Lawson able to get around Kilrow. And now we see the 83 machine of William Bruton. So far, they're able to get around, and we didn't have any problems. But as he continues to do this, oh my gosh, yeah. Look at the RPMs on that car.
The Dalton Kilrow is now working lap 170. That means he's now gone 71 laps. Now a couple of caution laps in there to help throw this balance off a little bit. But he's basically right at the halfway point from here. Remember, he is literally killing that car. He is turning. But I mean, he's turning off the ignition in the corners. Let's crank up the motor for a second, see if we can hear it. Here it is. Let's do it one more time. You can hear it. There's just no power in there, Emmett.
Yeah, he goes from turning almost 6,400 RPM down to 300. That's crazy.
This time by for Dalton Kilroy. He's called it out. Levine's right behind him, and he's now down the bottom of the track. Going to let those cars go. And this time by Dalton Kilrow finishes off the pit cycle, gets up the track in front of Arthur.
Man.
And now down pit road. Don't speed. You did all this work on the strategy. Don't throw it away. Down to speed he is. This will be the last car for this pit cycle. Now remember, as he's through this pit cycle, Emmett, and done, there's some drivers you have to think are probably halfway through their next pit cycle.
Yeah, definitely for sure. And just a little update on the Cup Series at Nashville. Denny Hamlin is currently the leader.
All right, well, here we go. Down to pit road, stopped in the box. Right side in the car up. Right side in the car is down. Left side in the car is up. Left side in the car is down. And away he goes. So now he has roughly 20-ish lap new tires on this field, Emmett. So remember how I said he was about 2 seconds slower than those cars a moment ago? Mm-hmm. Now he'll be the car a second or two faster than some of the field.
Yeah. I mean, these cars ahead of him are going to be what? They're 20 laps on their tires, more on their tires?
Roughly.
Wow.
And the problem for Kilrow, at least as of the moment, Kilrow for the moment being scored at multiple laps down. Now he'll get around the leader in just a moment, put himself 1 lap down. So Kilrow now has to hope for everything to go perfect. A caution throws this away. A wreck throws this away. He has to hold his breath and hope this all works out. He needs to wait until basically everyone pits again when he's back in the lead lap. Then calamity can happen. If a caution happens right now, he is likely stuck a lap down, and this strategy will not work in this race.
Yeah, so now he gets that lap back, and if he's able to get ahead of Rick Thompson, I mean, we're not going to... If we get a caution, he'd get the lucky dog, but... Yeah,
Well, remember, even the lucky dog has its problems. The lucky dog means everyone gets to pit, and that means that it means whoever the lucky dog is, whether it's Kilrow or anyone else, gets stuck to the end of the longest line. So even that really would hurt Kilrow, and this strategy is now it's Levine making the pass here very closely on the 83, and Levine's trying to get through traffic here and hold on to P3.
Yeah, just trying to get through there and hold on. As we saw, Levine had a little bit of trouble with, racing against Gibson. And I tell you, Derek, there's got to be something wrong with that car.
Again, I'm sure if that wall hit didn't help anything. If a caution comes out and Gibson could get it fixed, I'm sure that car would behave a little bit better. But here's Gibson now with a battle right behind him at times. And whether it be lap cars or lead lap cars, that's Mark Arthur behind him. And then John Perkins on back is almost contact between 7 and the 83. And the 7 doesn't want to be, but almost 3 wide here at Rockingham.
Yeah, and then also, Justin Levine, going back to Justin Levine, I think he's been getting up in the marbles. And, if you don't keep those tires clean, get those marbles on there, it is slicker than owl snot up there. So that could also play a factor in why he's been hitting the wall for sure.
It very well could be. Well, Levine for the moment has cleared the traffic. Gibson has not. Gibson is mired back here in traffic. He's now got Perkins ahead of him. In fact, he's got the 83 ahead of him and other cars indeed. Well, here we are now working here with just about 60 some laps to go. You have to think for those who need to pit again, the window is open. You could pit here and be on the throttle and race it out the rest of the way. So any moment now, for some drivers, we can see those last pit stops.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what we get from Kilrow, as Kilrow is coming, and he's coming quick. He's all the way up to P10, and now the next car is Mark Arthur. And then if he gets around Arthur, he can be battling with Rick Thompson, and then, pit stops happen. He could get back on the lead lap and could possibly...
That's what he needs. Yep, Kilrow last time by about a half a second faster than the leader, so he is coming. The problem is he just has to hope everything goes to plan.
As we see Cody Gibson making his final stop of the day, the money stop for sure.
Well, Gibson down this time. Remember, he was stuck in traffic, so I like this call, because if you're stuck in traffic and that traffic's holding up, why not go ahead and make this move now? Why get out there and fight someone when you think you're not being successful? Why not maybe do this and find some clean track thereafter?
Yeah, I definitely like this strategy, as we see the Flaming Hot Cheetos machine. Got the nice flames on it. You know, that reminds me of, what was that movie, Be Fully Loaded? With, Chet, or I forgot his name, but he drove the 82 Cheetos car. Man.
Well, pretty quick stop for Cody Gibson. His last of the night. He's now off of pit road. Look at that. Like I predicted, clean track up ahead.
Yeah, clean track, and that's going to allow him just to be able to ride this thing out until the finish, and that might be, I mean, that could be the move that gets him out there. Great stop from Cody Gibson and that crew. Is fast, and now Rick Thompson battling Mark Arthur, and Mark Arthur's just going to drive around Rick Thompson, and meanwhile, Justin Levine, Derrick gets around Brian Dees.
Well. Yep. Levine's back around. This puts him back up to P2. Now puts him about multiple seconds still, almost 4 seconds off of Brian Zimmerman. So we'll see how this plays out. Remember, Zimmerman pitted about 10 laps before Levine. So Levine has newer tires. Levine has about 0.4 of a second per lap. And he is faster than Zimmerman. But these drivers both need to pit again. Neither of them can make it all the way. So here's Levine now down in that Scooby-Doo Mr. Machine ride of Brad Lawson. All looks good. And around he goes. That Taco Bell machine wants to claim another victory. But about 50-some laps. We'll find out if he can. And we'll see who wins here at the Rock.
Yeah. And Zimmerman pulling away to a 3-second lead over Levine. But it'll be interesting to see when we see the top two cars pit. As we saw last time, Levine stuck out longer than Zimmerman, and Levine was able to, he ran half of what Kilroe ran. So
right.
Do you think Levine stays out that long this time?
That's really a driver thing, right? Some people like predictability. They want to cut runs in half so they know how the car will behave. Some people want to ride it out for when the caution falls. It's kind of weird to think how every driver, almost superstitious, right? But look at this. Here's the gap on your screen. It's now down to 2 seconds. And look at those green numbers below Levine. That means lap by lap, he's catching up.
Yeah, and you got to think about all these team members. They got those calculators out. They got the mathematicians out there trying to solve these problems. Heck, they even got Albert Einstein, went back in time and got him, trying to figure out what the best formula is to be able to make it on gas and possibly get this win today.
Well, here's a look at your leader, Brian Zimmerman. And really, this race has calmed down for a lot. I remember in the beginning, a little bit of calamities, some wrecks that weren't called as wrecks, a couple upset drivers. That second stage, a lot of lapped cars being lapped is the right way to say that. But this third stage, a lot really of single file racing, some big gaps, an occasional battle here or there. As you see, Levine's just in the back of that camera shot, now down to about 1.3 seconds. He is coming fast.
Yeah, coming fast, and I mean Levine. We saw how that car is on the long run. Really good. It's better on a long run than a short run. And that's what allows him to stay out longer than Zimmerman on the stint. So it'll be interesting to see if Zimmerman, tries to stay in front of Levine, knowing Levine can go longer than Zimmerman can on this next pit stop. And it'll be interesting to see when Zimmerman decides to come in and if Levine comes as follows.
So if we take the what I have to call the best possible scenario, right, which I don't think is doable for either car, they're not saving as hard as Kilroe was. Kilroe ran 71 laps roughly. So if you take the fact that Zimmerman hit it on a lap at 151, that means the latest he could go in the best possible scenario is 222 out of 240. So that's not going to happen, right? You're probably looking at more than a 60 lap run of the fuel savings. So you think 151 plus 60 is 211. That's less than 20 laps from now. So, again, we'll wait and see when he decides to come down to pit. Levine, 10 more laps. He pitted on lap 161. So he could go a little bit longer. But, boy, look at this. Now we're down to less than a quarter of a second. Levine is just running down Brian Zimmerman.
Yeah, Levine is just right. Oh, my gosh. He's right up on the back bumper. I think he had to get out of the gas because he got such a great run. And here he goes on the high side and just got to scoot on past for the moment. But, yep. Able to clear him.
Second. time tonight. New leader, the 5 car of Justin Levine.
Yeah, what a move by Levine. And I think when he came off that corner and got such a great run, he had to just, I don't think he lifted just a slight bit because he had to get out of the gas or he would have got into the back of Zimmerman. But that allowed him to look. And when he saw an advantage, he took that high line and ran with it and was able to get around Zimmerman and take away the lead.
Meanwhile, the lap down car, Chris Carroll, down pit road.
Yep, Chris Carroll comes in, gets his tires. This time he's going to, I think Derrick, he learned from his mistake on not taking tires after that first stage break, for sure.
Yeah, you would think so, wouldn't you? And of course, the downside, I think, for Carroll is I think Carroll thought we were going to have a race maybe with more calamity, more chances to pit. Oh, here comes Zimmerman.
Wow.
Zimmerman now down pit road, so he'll pit with about 43 laps to go. So he'll just about break that run in half because 151 to 197 is 46. He'll have 43 to go. So he's basically, as I said, he's broken his run in half.
Yeah, great call. Great call from that 2018 TBB, also on pit road.
Yep, Taylor Butcher Benjamin, he's ready in his box. There's Levine. That was
Wow.
a pass. He'll gain some time there. That was a great job attacking pit road.
Yeah, so he'll jump him. I mean, not having to worry about Brian Zimmerman jumping him right there as Levine. That's the perfect time, I think, for him to come in is right now for sure.
So, the thing to talk about, and knock on wood, Emmett, I know the pit stops aren't done tonight, but I think a story tonight that luckily isn't a story has been how great drivers have done on pit road tonight, right? We've done multiple green flag pit stops. We've seen pit stops under yellow, and we've not seen a single pit road penalty yet.
Yeah, that's crazy because, yeah, the only one that we had a question about was Paulson, but, I mean, Paulson disconnected. So we see Dalton Kilroe coming to take away.
Maybe just get around Levine, not really take anything away yet, but he'll try to pass Levine here.
Yeah, my fault. Yeah, trying to get the 5th spot away from Levine.
Now, the problem that Kilroe's going to have is that's Levine around him. That's a car he needs to not be around him, basically, right? Levine is already ahead of him on the track, and Kilroe's going to have to try and save fuel the rest of this run. Levine gets to pull away on new tires.
Yeah, I just don't. I think Kilroe, he's saving a little bit. I think he's pushing the clutch in, but he's not drastically saving like we saw on that last stint yet. But we do expect Dalton Kilroe to start shutting off the ignition into the corners, trying to save, and trying to make it this rest of this distance for sure.
Well, the 12th place and 13th place cars of Jason Powell and Brad Lawson are both now down pit road, getting their pit stops done. Both are done in the 14-second range. There's James Efaw in the 88, now down pit road. You see the timers on the right side of your screen, so you can track those along. But here's Cody Gibson on track now, right behind Dalton Kilroe, and Kilroe just lets him go.
Yeah, Kilroe just gonna let him go. So now Gibson moves into the 7th position.
Now the move for
Oh
hold
my
on,
God.
car on the wall, big damage. Who is that? That is
Mark Arthur. Oh my gosh. Tough break from Mark Arthur. Had a great run.
Mark Arthur just said his race is done. He has called it on the radio and said that race is done. And there's the 60 of Moody on pit road as well. I think we're going to see a connection here. Watching Moody get up and nope, not in the wall. I apologize for making that assumption.
There it is.
There's the wall. And then,
Man.
my God, Arthur turns him over.
Man, tough break.
Wow. So that's going to end Mark Arthur. I would assume also likely ends the night for Moody, or at least puts a big damper on Moody as well. Watch from Arthur's point of view. It's down here at the bottom of the track, and then right there, just no time.
Oh my gosh.
Boy, oh boy.
That was a tough hit for sure.
Well, there you see both Moody and Arthur on pit road on the right side of your screen. So both those cars are likely done, if not heavily damaged. Back on track, it's Brian Dees in the lead for the moment. He is now around Perkins. He's got Justin Levine right behind them at some points in that Taco Bell machine, but right now it's a 2-car battle. This is Dees and Perkins. They have not pitted yet. These cars last pitted lap 153 and 159, so that's about 50 laps ago.
How about John Perkins, though? I mean, up here running, been in the top 5 all day long. Great run from the 33 machine for sure.
A great run, you're right. I mean, that's a solid run from the 33. And now a pass by Brian Zimmerman. That's not a pass for the lead. Zimmerman's now trying to unlap himself. And back on the lead lap he is with 32 laps to go. There went a car down pit road. That was Brian Dees. This would be his last pit stop. And I'm thinking that was a little fast. I don't see a penalty alert yet. Boy, that looked a little fast.
Yeah, you know, that's what I was talking about, his last pit stop. It looked like he was flying down there, but he's able to woe it down just in time before it gets to the line. So no penalty for Brian Dees, but great job using that speed to get a little bit of more speed and get faster down pit road than the others.
Watch it here. This is the replay. Watch how fast the RPMs drop right about there. He was definitely attacking that line. You got to appreciate that. Brian Dees a 14.3. It's about the same time we've seen for most pit stops tonight, and it's just about off at pit road. That timer stops counting right there, and he's off at pit road, getting back up to speed. So right now it's John Perkins, the last to pit, has now been out for a number of laps, almost about 51, 52 laps here.
Uh-oh.
So he'll need to come down. That's not in question. The question is when, and the question should be within the next, I'd say, 5 laps at the most for Perkins. And then that would let Levine eventually cycle back to the lead.
Yeah, and the thing also that Perkins is doing, could he be trying to see how big that lead he could put up on Justin Levine and able to, you know, get a big enough lead where he can pit and able to come out and still hang on to that race lead at the end of this cycle for sure.
He could just be holding on to that inevitable first yellow if it ever comes, so he can maybe pip the rest of the field under green, or I mean under yellow together, pardon me, and see if he can save some time that way. Who knows what may be happening. Here's Cody Gibson now. This is the car trying to unlap himself, and Gibson in that 7, and he's going to try and get around Perkins, but boy, he really got up to the back bumper for a second. Almost like I thought he was going to bump him or move him. But instead, he just went ahead and got around the 33 in the zone. And the 33 pitting this time by, that puts Justin Levine back to the lead in this race.
Yeah, Justin Levine's going to come and fly by. Meanwhile, as we see John Perkins hitting pit road, new leader's going to be the 5 of Justin Levine. See Brian Zimmerman right there running. He'll come out P2.
Yeah,
Derrick
doing a great job here and trying to run to. Remember, he's now back in the lead lap. He's one of the few cars there.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Derrick, it's a great move from John Perkins to stay out that long. I don't think he's going to lose that many positions and could possibly be still in the top 10.
I don't know. I still a 14.1 second pit stop there, so not much faster than the rest of the field. You almost got to wonder if you stayed out that long, if you should have just tried something a little different, maybe a 2-tire stop to gain that time on pit road, but pretty much equal pit stop with the rest of the field. So we'll see where he does cycle back on through. But again, right now it's Levine, Zimmerman, Gibson, your top 3.
Yeah, and Levine, I mean, 5.4, if Brian Zimmerman wants to get this win, he's going to have to get up and get on it and just find some way to get that extra speed and come up here and battle with Levine for the lead. Or we could get a caution.
Doesn't seem likely, does it? We'll have to wait and see. So it's Levine and Zimmerman, your top 2, and they are basically running identical lap times. Last time by less than a 1/10 of a second difference between them. So if you're Brian Zimmerman, that's not the news you want. There's William Bruton down on pit road. That's a lap down car back in P16. So we'll see here. Taylor Butcher Benjamin has just passed Dalton Kilroe, but Kilroe's back in the lead lap at least. That strategy has paid off in that form.
Mm-hmm.
And there's Rick Thompson on screen, by the way.
Gosh.
But look at those gaps on the screen here as this pit cycle is working itself out.
Yeah, look at the front end. Look at the front end of Mark Arthur in that 12 machine. Looks like a modified now.
Certainly does, doesn't it? Yeah, Mark, of course, had that moment about 10, 15, maybe 20 laps ago where he got in the back end of the other car and is now back on track, just trying to log some laps and gain whatever spots he can. And this will be a very long 21 laps to go for Mark Arthur.
Yeah, meanwhile, Derrick over at Nashville in the Cup Series, Ryan Blaney has won stage 2.
There you go. So if you're watching both, that's what's going on in the NASCAR race. But 20 now laps to go as we come around again. It's Justin Levine leading around in that Taco Bell machine. But we're looking here at Rick Thompson. Rick Thompson's running back in P4. And he's trying to hold off Taylor Butcher Benjamin, Brian Dees, and others to hold on to P4. Meanwhile, he's still also trying to run down Cody Gibson for third, but he's about 3 to 3.5 seconds off of that.
Yeah, and look at the right side of that machine, Derrick. The fenders are definitely pushed in. That's got to be hurting that tire wear for sure.
Yeah, you would have to think so. What you have to think is probably hurting and probably affecting the tire wear, maybe the handling, maybe when you can get in the throttle or out of the throttle has to all be affected. You saw just a bit of a slide from the 76 out of that corner. By the way, just keep in mind at the end of tonight's coverage here for Blazing Pedals, we're going to take over some more Rockingham because the American Sim Racing League is racing over at Rockingham as well. So then we'll head over to that coverage, time permitting, once this race comes to a conclusion. Remember, throughout the week here on Green Flag TV, lots upcoming. Tomorrow night, the High Tide Racing League is live here on the channel. Wednesday's a triple header on the channel, by the way. We start off with some IndyCar in the afternoon. And then Wednesday night, it's Premier Sim Racing and myself, Evan Pasoko, with Dustin Ollis down in the booth. Then next on that is the Beer League. That's Nolan Rimple and Finn Acini as they watch the drivers race the Legend 34 Coupes around the road course. Emmett, if you've not seen these races yet around the road courses, and I believe this Wednesday, I believe it's at the Red Bull Ring, they are a blast.
Yeah, and then also Tuesday, we're going to have the Indy 500. So
the Indy 500K. Let's
the Indy 500K.
500K. A little different, right? A little different.
Yeah.
But yeah, that'll be for OMSRL, yourself, I think, and Nolan Rimple on that.
First IndyCar
Thursday night. Thursday night's another doubleheader. I'll be back with the Average Joe Sim Racing League at Michigan. And then Nolan and at least Scott Brinken will be with the Speed Cup Series. So lots going on the channel this week. If you've not yet hit that subscribe button, you should. So you'll be able to see when every race goes live on the channel. And boy, let me tell you some more cool, exciting announcements coming soon. We have more IndyCar coming. We're getting closer and closer to covering endurance racing on the channel. Lots of big announcements coming for Green Flag TV in the next month or so.
Yeah, looking forward to that. And then make sure they join the Discord to get all the info on the leagues and what's also coming up on Green Flag TV as well.
Yep, so yeah, let's look back on the track. This is Perkins right here, the 33. And he's got around Dalton Kilroe. So Kilroe's strategy, remember, was to hoping not have to pit again and hoping he can make up all that time on the field. The problem is he's just so slow in the strategy, Emmett, that he's just not maintaining the lead and the gaps he wanted to.
Yeah, definitely not being able to maintain it. And tough break for Kilroe. I mean, there for a second, it looked like he was a genius, but yeah, just not able to maintain where he wanted to be. And I mean, P7 ain't bad. I mean, it's a good points day, being the points leader, but it'll be interesting to see where he finishes for sure.
Down the back straight we're riding here. You see up to 7,000 RPMs up, down the back straight, and then up through the corner we go. So, you know, Emmett, every week in the Blazing Pedals Discord, we try to have some fun with the drivers and ask some questions, get to know them. Some really off-topic questions just to try to, you know, get to know them, as I said, and kind of learn some random things is the better way to say it. So this week we asked about what's your favorite ice cream flavor? Right? We saw some different answers up and down the field. Rick Thompson, who we've seen up and down the field tonight, he said Moose Tracks ice cream.
Ooh.
Dalton Kilrow, the driver trying to do this on fuel strategy, says he's basic. He just wants to have basic vanilla ice cream.
Wow. Not even vanilla bean.
No, just he did say a little bit of chocolate syrup on it, but I mean not much different than that, right? Our producer Dustin Ollis, a butter pecan, but specifically from a waffle cone was the answer I got. Lots of answers for Ben and Jerry's came out this week. Austin Derbyshire had an answer for it's called Bar Down Blast. It's a vanilla flavored ripple ice cream with caramel filled mini chocolatey pucks. You can tell he's Canadian by the answer, right?
I was about to say, if there's pucks in it, yeah, that's got to be a Canadian flavor for sure.
Yeah, a little bit of lots going on there. So I do encourage you, our driver, to check out the Discord every week. We try and have those conversations and, and just have some fun, right? Break up that different monotony of the Discord. But look at the battle. This is not monotonous. This is Perkins and Butcher Benjamin. Remember, Butcher Benjamin has that SpongeBob helmet, and he is trying to see if he can inch his way up about a half second back from Perkins right now. With only 8 to go, that seems hard to do.
Yeah, definitely. But now, as we get later on in this race, I'm going to ask you again, Derek, who is your best car in show?
Get back to this. Yeah. I mean, as far as favorite throwback, I have to admit to you, I'm a bit of a wrestling nerd. So the WCW throwback was a pretty awesome see because I don't think many people remember that existed. It was not well raced or, not well funded of a team that I recall correctly. So that stands out a little bit. That Tide Ride's pretty classic. The Hooters car earlier was great with Ty Marasco until that car got wrecked out, unfortunately. So lots going on. Here's Cody Gibson now under attack, by the way, from the 33 of Perkins. Perkins on around. I guess the Tito's car is not really a throwback to anyone I recognize, but I think my favorite all night is going to be the 18. The Interstate Batteries, the MB&A machine. In my early years of NASCAR fandom, Bobby Labonte in the 18, and weird enough, he featured a company I once worked for in MB&A, so there was a little bit of pride there. I actually got to see that car in person at a company outing. They brought it in at our company cookout. We got to see it, so I guess I'm going to go 18, and I think I'm going to credit also because it's that creative use of taking an old scheme and making it modern in his own way.
Yeah, definitely, but I still think it's got to be Nice. I mean,
it's got to be Nice. Okay, I'm done. Sorry.
That 56 machine is just spot. Is it 56, right? I believe.
Yep.
Yeah, that thing is just spot on. Joey Nice, 58. Sorry, 58 machine of Joey Nice. I think that one is going to walk away with best in show, for my opinion.
Fair enough. Well, here is the battle, by the way. This is Brad Lawson in the 85, the Scooby-Doo Mystery Machine. That's another great one right there with Jay Powell. They're only about a tenth of a second apart here. And these guys are racing a little bit down the pack. They're still racing for 10th and 11th, but still a great battle going on here. And right now, this is the problem with Rockingham a little bit is, look, Powell has done everything he can to catch Lawson. But catching and passing are two different things. 2 to go. We're now about to come 1 to go at Rockingham. The white flag will come around this time by. Justin Levine has a massive lead here, almost 8 seconds on the field. Well, the New Yorker missed last week as he takes the white flag. Unplanned miss, gained up some points. Dalton Carrera closed the gap down to 9 points, but this time by, Justin Levine comes back in the throwback Taco Bell machine down the back straight one final time. He's going to have Cody Gibson lapped through 3 and 4, takes the high lane, and the kid from New York will win in North Carolina. Justin Levine wins at Rockingham.
Do you think they have Taco Bells in upstate New York?
I think they have Taco Bells everywhere. It's.
Think outside the bun.
Yeah.
Yeah, no Taco Bell.
Well, what a great run that was for Levine. Had a strategy that paid off. Some patience, some close calls, and a great job all around. Justin Levine's going to bring it around here and do his customary burnouts. And here it is. Celebration for Justin Levine.
Actually, right before I jumped on this broadcast, I knew Justin Levine was going to win, and that's why I Had a little Taco Bell myself before this broadcast, so yeah.
Fair enough. Well, Levine's going to go ahead and do some burnouts and circle on around the track, and eventually they'll do their customary grid photo. But the kid from New York wins and increases that gap. He's going to park it right here in the victory lane. One of the cool features of this track. But now to make for some cool screenshots for Mr.
Definitely.
Levine. Well, let's go and take a look at our unofficial results. Here they are. Justin Levine wins by over 8, almost 9 seconds over Brian Zimmerman. Brian Dees is in third. John Perkins in fourth. And Cody Gibson rounds out your top 5. TBB comes in 1 lap down in P6. Chris Carroll in P7. Dalton Kilroy comes in P8. And then 2 more laps down. Rick Thompson in P9 and Jason Powell in P10.
Yeah, in P11, we're going to find Brad Lawson. And then in 12th, we're going to find James Efaw. In 13th will be Mark Arthur, who had a tough break after running so good. William Bruton's going to come home P14. P15, Fred Thompson. P16, Nicholas Moody. P17, Joey Neese. P18, Larry Bell. P19, Trevor Hartman. And P20, Hunter Lagoons.
Moving back through the field, P21, Ty Maraska. We talked to him earlier. And then on further down, Jess Hadley, Mike Massengill, Austin Derbyshire, and Derrick Paulson round out a 25-car field. That's a look top to bottom at your unofficial results here for the Blazing Pedals ARCA Series. And now it's time to talk to our winners. We'll give a moment here for our drivers to kind of get done with the celebrations and have that moment of victory and celebration and relief. But boy, what a hot day it was at Rockingham. But some drivers kept it really cool under the helmets. Let's see if we can grab Justin Levine. And we're just going to go ahead and bring him back up directly into the Green Flag TV broadcast booth. That's the kid from New York, claims another win. Justin Levine, you won at Rockingham. Good job.
Thank you, Derrick.
How does that feel? Tell me, when I say how does that feel, talk to me about the nerves or the thoughts going through the pit strategy tonight, knowing that drivers like Dalton Kilroy were trying to cut a pit stop off the race.
Oh, really, you have to just set a pace and stick to it. You can't overheat the tires, and whatever strategy you pick, you can't call an audible because you're just going to put yourself in a hole. And I went for the long run, and it worked perfectly.
So a great night for you, but maybe not a great night for One Sim Motorsports as a whole. This has kind of become unfortunately, a bit of a trend for you guys. So moving forward, what's got to change to help you guys win the team points, do you think?
Got to have my teammates to show up. A bunch of them are in Nashville tonight, actually, at the race. So good for them. I hope the race is great. Can't wait to go after this and watch the end here. But really just got to be there at the end. Survive. What's been happening to most of them and myself is we get caught up in something early and then we're in a hole and we have to dig ourselves out. So just keep the car clean and go from there.
Well, I have to know, you're the points leader, you've won another race, but I have to know, which is more successful, Justin Levine and Blazing Pedals or Justin Levine and MLB The Show this year?
Definitely Blazing Pedals.
Fair enough. I don't have to ask. I know you're a Yankees. I know you're playing as the Yankees. I know you're using Aaron Judge. I don't have to ask, right?
Oh, you're going to laugh. I actually traded myself, and I did the draft in the whole 9 yards, and I'm on the Dodgers, so we stayed there.
Oh. Now I have to ask, if they had drafted you to the Mets, would you have just deleted and started over?
No, I would stay. I started on the Padres, and I demanded a trade after 2 seasons, and they traded me to LA, and I never left. And then
demanded
time has just gotten me, and I haven't played.
Fair enough. Well, listen, with Justin, great run tonight, and we will see you next week at Lucas Oil.
Thank you, Derrick. Have a good night.
Good night, bud. All right, that is Justin Levine, your race winner. And now let's catch up with the driver who finished P2. It's Brian Zimmerman, and he is caught up with Emmett Crow.
Brian Zimmerman, talk about a tough break, man. You thought you jumped him on the pits. What could you have done to beat that strategy?
I don't really know. Maybe I should have pitted about 5 laps earlier. I was waiting on him to catch me there, and once he got around me, maybe I should have pitted as soon as he got around me. Waited about 5 laps too long. But I don't know. I don't think I could have done anything. Justin just had so much speed tonight there at the end of the race. He must have been saving so much early because we didn't see him there until there at the end. And when he got there, man, he just took off. So congrats to him. I had nothing for him.
Yeah, he was probably running on that extra methane. Having Taco Bell as a sponsor. But
That's
how
right.
do you build on this going to Lucas Oil next week?
Well, it's nice to get a top 3. Get on the podium here. A little demoralizing because I really thought we had a shot to win tonight, especially in the middle of the race there. But we'll build on this and go on to the next race, and just happy to pull out a top 3. But yeah, I don't really know what I'd do different. I'll have to go back and watch some strategy there. Maybe pit a little earlier, but I don't even know if that would have done it. Justin's just so fast. I want to say something. Cody had a fast car tonight. I hate that he had an issue earlier in the race. He got some damage earlier. I think there was 2 times in turn 2 he got hit there and got some damage. So I hate that for him. He deserved. He still pulled out a 5th. That was a great finish with the damaged car he had. I think he had over 4 minutes of damage. And he still pulled out a 5th. So congrats to him for sticking it out and getting a good finish. But just good run by Justin. Just too much for us tonight. Didn't have nothing for him.
All right. Well, good luck at Lucas Oil. We'll see you there.
Sounds great, bud. Hey, we appreciate everything y'all do in the booth. And shout out to Brad Lawson for the 1990 Davey Allison paint scheme I ran tonight. That was fun to run that scheme, and we just appreciate that. But just thank y'all for all y'all doing, everybody with Blazing Pedals and throwing on a good league.
All right. Well, Derrick, back to you.
All right, that is Brian Zimmerman finishing P2. And now I'm going to get a chance to talk to the driver who once said, I've not had my broadcast interview yet. Well, now he does. He finishes P3 in that Darrell Waltrip Tide machine. Brian Dees, great run tonight.
When did I say that? I don't remember that.
I thought we had a talk a couple weeks ago, and you're like, have I been interviewed yet? And I was like, I don't think so. Maybe I have different names. Anyways, you still finished P3 tonight in your Tide run. First off, I got to compliment you. Great throwback scheme in the Tide ride. Where did the inspiration for that come from?
I've just always liked the Tide ride. Always was a big fan of it, and Darrell Walter fan. So
fair enough. Well, finished in P3 tonight. You finished behind Levine and Zimmerman, and boy, it seemed like Levine was in like a different zip code. As you look back through the strategy of the pit calls and when you pit, is there anything you think you could have done to catch Levine, or was that just maybe an impossible task?
Maybe if my pit crew could have found a way to put tires on my car while I was still on the track. That's about it. Because yeah, he had something I didn't have. But I think he called it skill. But
yeah, maybe a little bit.
Yeah, he was just way better at saving tires. Even early in the race, I passed him early. Can't remember what lap it was, but yeah, I went right past him, and then maybe like 20 laps later, he blew past me like I was standing still. So yeah, I guess some guys just figure that out, and I haven't figured it out yet. But still pretty happy with it. I think I finished where I was supposed to. I think I was the 3rd fastest car tonight, so definitely happy with the podium finish. P3, can't complain with that.
Was there anything about tonight's race, either in a positive or negative way, that caught you by surprise? Would it be the track condition? Would it be the lack of cautions? Or is there anything that really caught you by surprise tonight that really kind of made things more difficult?
Yeah, maybe the lack of cautions. It seemed like something was going on with iRacing, because I definitely think there was a few. I obviously didn't have the same vantage point that you guys had, but right on the track, it definitely looked like there was a few that maybe should have been cautions that weren't. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure if the track's broken or what's going on with iRacing. The admins checked, and they said that cautions definitely were turned on. So not sure, but yeah, that was a little bit of a surprise. But I think it made for a fun race. Let the strategy play out. So we'll take it.
Next week we go to one more track that is less than a mile in length, a much different track than this one. What are you expecting to have happen next week at Lucas Oil?
I have no idea. Me and that track have never gotten along, so let's just say hopes aren't very high.
Very high. Well, listen, it is high tonight for finishing order. Congrats on the P3, and we'll see you next week.
Sounds good, guys.
All right, that is Brian Dees. We'll put him back down with the MFRD teammate. Well, Emmett, overall, a very, at least a green flag race. Maybe not a clean race, but a green flag race here at the track. And Justin Levine walked away.
Yeah, Justin Levine, great strategy call right there. And just like Zimmerman said, he said, maybe I should have pitted a couple laps earlier, and that might have helped. But yeah, congratulations to Justin Levine, and we'll see what he can do next week at Lucas Oil.
All right. Well, 1 week's time away, as we've hinted at, Lucas Oil, Indianapolis Park Raceway, June 8th, 7:30 p.m., live here on Green Flag TV. If you miss any part of tonight's race, you can catch this race and every race from the Blazing Pedals ARCA League here on the Green Flag TV YouTube channel. For Dustin, Ollis down pushing the buttons in the booth, making us look good, to my partner Emmett Crow, I am Derrick Watson. And keep tuned in for the conclusion of the coverage from the ASRL League at Darlington. And so long, and so good night, and congrats to Justin Levine on winning this race.